with us today. Anyways, yeah, thanks. We're in trouble already. Okay. You're already in open, and nice to see a big crowd out today. I'm sure some of them will probably drift away by the end of this meeting. Nice to see you at the start, anyways. Minutes of previous meeting. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councillor Elliott, that the minutes of the August 1st, 2017 council meeting be approved. All in favor? Passed. Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Caldwell, the Town of Minto Council convenes in a committee of the whole. All in favor? Additional items. Additional items? I'm sure somebody must. Ron?
I got one thing.
Ron?
Judy?
I knew everybody would have one. Okay. Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. The Committee of the Whole convenes in the regular council meeting. Is that right, Bill? Oh, already did that.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Oh, public meetings. Here we are. Public meetings. Now we have 3 delegations, and the public meetings will be at 5. So we have to wait till 5 for the public meetings. So first up is Harrison Fall Fair. And who wants to speak? Bruce, are you? Okay, great. Come on up. There, you can both. Yeah, we got a high and a low. It's sort of a
shorter one.
Sort of the Mutt and Jeff thing we're doing.
Careful.
No. Just pick up the mic if you want to stand up, or you want to. I don't know why we.
Anyway, I'm Bruce Shannon, president of the Harrison Minto Agricultural Society. I just wanted to introduce our new treasurer. I'm sure you all know him, Glenn Warren. He has come to us with extremely strong organizational skills and is doing a wonderful job. And should have had him years ago, I guess. Anyway, Warren is going to go through some of the changes that are affecting our fall fair this year.
Great.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So there's a lot of great things happening this year at the fair. As you know, the fair is September 15th, 16th, and 17th. We've got several new attractions and traditional exhibits and trade show participants that will be ready to go on Friday at 6 p.m. when the fair is open for viewing. Official opening ceremonies are set for Friday at 7 p.m. in the main arena, followed by popular pie and pork auctions with the lawnmower races happening outside at the Derby site. In the auditorium, Valley Joy will be entertaining the youngsters with her clown show. Young adults may like to try out the Grey Goose Escape Adventures, which will be on site all day Saturday from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. And what that is, they offer 3 escape room for opportunities. One is called Quest for the Throne, which is kind of a play on Game of Thrones. One is a doctor's office, which is you're out camping in a abandoned mining town and you get injured, you have to go to the doctor's office and have to find yourself out. And then Grandma's Attic is something that will be suitable for children to go through. So minimum 4 participants to go through the shows. We're also having on Saturday night is a movie night at the Crown. So there's going to be Bugs Bunny and Friends. And then at 8, that's at 6 p.m. At 8 p.m. is the original Jungle Book. And I was researching it yesterday. It came out in 1967. So it's 50 years. Yeah. Oh. And that's a Disney classic, obviously. We also have our silent auction that runs all weekend. We got some great things. I've been able to get a few items from some of the local implement dealers for small tractors so far for the parents to buy for the younger generation. thanks to funding from the Minto Culture Roundtable, we were able to sponsor Big Wheels, which is a local band with a lot of Minto residents participating in it at our pub night in the auditorium on Saturday night. Sunday morning is the breakfast at starting at 8, and then the church service is at 10:30. We're trying something new. The Soapbox Derby is going to take place on Main Street at the lights, going down to Maitland Street. Registration is on our website. We have so far about 9 individuals that have shown interest in them. And I have to thank the Wellington Junior Farmers and the Minto Youth Action Committee are going to be assisting us with that. The Demolition Derby and the Big Bale Rollout, and then the Scooter Draw will be running in the afternoon. Then there's the ever popular pedal tractor pulls. That happens. More information and registration forms can be found on our website at www.harrisonmentalfair.ca. Another change, instead of the car show being in the Ball Diamond area, we're going to place it beside the pavilion, and a lot of the participants love it. It's going to be in the shade this year. Bouncy castles, we have 4 different kinds of bouncy castles coming. Due that we're not having a Midway this year, Midway companies have been invited to set up, and it used to be at no cost to the fair. But up until 2016, we received a small percentage of their proceeds that they made. And now operations costs have increased, insurance, TSSA approval, everything has become a little more expensive. So now they'd like money up front. Well, the way the weather can be, that can be a challenge sometimes. So to put out $15,000 possibly, we had to come up with some other ideas. For the bouncy castles, child can purchase a bracelet, and I'll give them all day fun for $5. Just read my notes here. So that highlights we are accepting Visa, debit, and MasterCard this year. So we're going to try that out and see how that works. Save a lot of possible cash handling and less risk for people out there that may think otherwise. So for the escape room, I was going to challenge the council to register. They can book a time. It's a great team building exercise. And I was just mentioned to before we got in here that the election is next year, so that might be a great opportunity to
You never know to get out.
Yeah.
I think there is an escape code that you can ask to get out.
You have 45 minutes
Yeah.
when you're done.
Oh, 40, you have to be there for
Cost us
45
for the
minutes.
escape code.
Escape code? I have a job trainer. So the escape is adventures are from Chesley, Ontario, and they've been doing something every Friday night for the month of August at the Wismer House in Port Elgin. So they've been quite busy up there. So they're quite interesting. And Enter Store for our local energy in the industrial park has sponsored $500 towards that. And then for one thing I forgot about was the Wee Zip Line. That was on Savor in the Streets, and the co-op has sponsored that for us. So we're quite happy with that. Other than that,
Question.
come to the fair.
Now, are we going? Annalene will send out a note as far as for the parade.
Great.
We'll probably do the tractor again. That's all right with everybody? Want to do something else? Unfortunately, I will be in Fort McMurray, so I won't be here. But I'll volunteer.
So you're escaping already?
I will volunteer this council. They should get in the escape room. I think that'd be great. I'd love to be there for that, and I'm sure I would. With me needing them, we never escape. I know that. But
we need our fearless leader, don't
yeah,
we?
yeah. Unfortunately, I'm going to be away, but
Perfect.
But
All right.
wish you luck on everything.
Good.
Now, have you got sponsors for the Soapbox Derby? Have you got? Like I know at one time we talked about, did people buy the kits or themselves?
Yes,
Or,
yeah. So
you know,
I
we-
still have some kits left that I purchased, and
Okay.
so I got about 5 left yet.
So in case somebody wants to, or
Yep.
can't afford one, that
Yeah.
I can maybe sponsor one of those or whatever.
Yeah.
So you let us know if you need
So
something.
there has been a lot of
Just let us
interest
know.
in it.
Good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Good. Appreciate that.
You guys have to make up your mind. We'll send a note out though, Eileen, about the escape room.
Yep.
And about the parade. And
Challenge other departments.
yes, I'm sure that we maybe will get a
We'd
town
like to
team
see
in
us
here.
all out there.
Yeah, thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Warren.
Oh, and by the way, we apologize for running off George Street, although we had no choice. But I know Bruce has been down, and I think we got it figured out, Bruce, that how we're going to get everybody in and out. Good.
Excellent.
So,
You're optimistic. That's great.
anyways, sounds great. Sounds like a good fair, and it's a lot of neat new things. I think we're looking forward to it. I won't be there, but Sue will be there. She can send me Facebook on it while I'm sitting up there in Fort McMurray. Okay. We have next up is Astrid. Oh, this is play. It's on the St. Clair subdivision. If I can get mine up here. Why isn't mine not working? You must have touched mine.
That's Ron. Don't touch it.
I did. There we go.
I think this is.
Hi, Cam.
Mayor Bridge, there's also item 12C, which is a staff report. 12C7.
Oh, 12C7. I don't have that
Bring
on.
that forward at the same time.
Oh, this is on the same document? Yep. Okay. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor Bridge, members of council. My name is Astrid Claus. I'm a planning consultant here on behalf of Dan Sinclair from Clare Ridge Estates. And this definitely is in respect to the item 12C7 on the agenda. So a little bit of history about the subdivision first. The original draft plan of subdivision, which is shown in the black line. So you can see the original stormwater management pond, the cul-de-sac, which is the extension of Grand Trunk Street, and then the Derby Street extension and 27 lots. This is part of a plan that was approved back in 1994. And the other phases have been registered and have been constructed. So this is what is remaining of that larger subdivision. And it's now owned by Clare Ridge Estates and has been granted an extension by the county of draft plan approval to 2019. So the plan that you see here is the black existing draft plan with the red lines that are the proposed changes to the plan. And previously there were 27 lots, now there are 28. Stormwater management is still in the same general location, but Derby Street is not proposed to extend. Instead, I'm going to switch over to another plan because I think it's easier to see. It's sort of cleaned up version without the lands being overlaid. So the plan now would look more like this, and there would be a walkway and servicing block rather than the Derby Street Road connection.
Just may I ask a question on that right now?
I guess you can.
What you've got designated as a walkway there, you just pointed out.
Yeah.
Should that not be on the other side of the lot? Because I don't think that lines up with Derby Street.
Will.
It
That's a cul-de-sac.
will if there's this cul-de-sac configuration, which is what
Okay.
we're suggesting would be the option.
I don't think so.
But yeah. So
It's pretty close.
what back in 2014, this redliner was changed to the plan, not having Derby Street continue through was a condition of the 3 severances that happened. So those severances occurred at that time. One of the conditions was that an overall plan be done and that was satisfied, and those severances were granted. Now they've been built. So in April of this year, we did a pre-consultation with the county and the town to look at what would be required to submit this. And then in July, the formal request was made for this revision to the approved draft plan. So we have reviewed the staff report that has been provided, and we provided also a letter to council dated August 30th of 17 and I would like to say we are in agreement with much of what has been said in the staff report, including that what council must now do is put in mind the question of whether the Derby Street road stub needs to be part of the subdivision or not. And we have also reviewed various concept plans that are in the staff report and agree that we need landowners who own these parcels at the back would be required to share the cost of the services extending the road, their fair share, should that ever happen in the future, the severances and the extension of the road. I would note that extending Derby Street does not benefit this landowner in any way, so it's more for these severances that would be occurring in the future. So on that basis, we put together another option, if you will, another concept plan. So, and that is that the Derby Street road allowance would become a cul-de-sac, and that these lots would then have frontage off of that new future road. This lot, as I understand it, is now all one lot, but was previously severed in a configuration of what's called the flag lot. It's since merged, but that severance application could be made again, in which case the back of this lot would have frontage on Prospect Street and wouldn't have to do the cost share or the extension of that road. So when we tried to come up with a solution that would work for both the Dan Sinclair's application and also these folks, we certainly understand that the town has to consider the planning and the potential future development for this area. And I believe what we've come up with is a reasonable and practical solution that would allow the subdivision to proceed and those lots to be created in the future. We are respectfully requesting that council approve a motion that would not require a road stub where lot 23 is. And I drafted a motion just for council's consideration in that August 30th letter for your review, and Dan and I would be pleased to answer any questions.
Derby Street, is it now an open road? Do we have to close it, or is it shown as an extension?
Do you not believe it is an open road?
It's not
An open road.
not shown as an open road. No. Okay, so it's just showing as future Derby Street.
It's a road allowance, but not an open road allowance.
So you wouldn't have to close that or rid ourselves of that. Derby Street gets, and it still shows an extension.
Well,
And it only extends to here, it doesn't extend to this.
And okay, that's fine. And lot 1, they're saying that it would merge into an existing lot to the left.
So I just want to be clear. Everything outside this red line is not owned by.
Yeah, I understand.
And
Yeah.
so
We just, I've been worried. What I'm concerned
Yeah.
about is landlocking that. If we don't sever it, it'd have to be severed
it would have to be severed in a
to
configuration. the way it
create a
was.
one large lot.
Today
No.
it's one large lot.
Uh-huh.
With a house on it. But I understand that previously they had severed this, but when it purchased it, it merged. The piece of the back merged with the piece of the front.
So there's absolutely nothing we'd have to do there.
Well, unless they want a lot at the back, then they're going to have a separate application with similar configuration to what we have previously.
Is there access to a back lot if they severed?
So this here
Mhm.
would provide their access, their driveway access to a lot of the back.
Is that wide enough? So that would become an easement kind of thing for someone to
It
get to
wouldn't
a back road?
necessarily be an easement, it would be part of the lot back here. So this would
Be their laneway.
And that's something that when they submit a severance application, the county and the town will look at to make sure that's wide enough for driveway access.
Thanks.
Judy, and did anybody else say?
So my understanding of lot one is that presently it is two tax bills, or it's still two tax bills. So does that not mean that it is still two lots? And I realize that's outside the red line, so.
If I may, on
Yeah,
that one, I mean, we're Astrid and Dan aren't they're consultants, so but we believe, based on our discussions with the county, that they have in fact merged, even though they may be getting two tax bills. It may have merged on title, so it is in fact one lot.
Okay.
Yeah, the configuration that's shown there was at one time in place, but we don't believe it's in place now. They would have to reapply for a severance and probably a zoning change on the frontage, and then they'd be extending the sewer and water up from Prospect Street into that lot one at the back. It's not the best option, but it's a possible option, and I think it's been quite well laid out there as to what the options are for the other people if they wanted to develop their lots. So it's really a question of whether you want lot 23 to be a block or a lot. So I think from the town's perspective, as long as council is aware that if lot 23 goes ahead, it will never link in except by virtue of an easement. So I would have a hard time imagining all four landowners getting together, but as the price of lots go up, then you never know what could happen. But either way, I think we've had a look at it. The development option that they put forward is fine. So you could approve it, either their resolution or the staff recommendation, either way. If you go with the staff recommendation, then lot 23 becomes a block, and it just sits there, and we make a decision on it, or the council of the day makes a decision on whether the road goes through or not. But I think that it's kind of, we would like to see the subdivision go ahead, but it's kind of unfair to hold them all up when there's four landowners may have different time frames on when they want to go ahead or if they want to go ahead. So this was stated, I think the layout's good. It's just a question on what you want to do there.
Ron?
Mine is a definition request. How much land width would be required so that lot one does not become landlocked for a driveway? I'm sure there's a regulation.
Well, it should be at least 6 meters or 20 feet, I would think. It may be smaller than that. I don't recall, but they should have 6 meters.
Is there enough width to that lot?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, it's pretty wide. I
Wide lot.
don't know its actual width, but it looks like it's wider than 66 feet or 20 meters.
Okay. I just wouldn't want to see that lot. If people that own that intended to develop that, I think we have to be a little considerate.
It just sold. So, I mean, go ahead, Jay.
So the only reason then that lot 23 doesn't have Derby Street going through it is to put a lot there, is to put a house there then. Like from the original one that you had up first, like it showed Derby Street coming right through, right? So that's really the only reason why it doesn't come all the way through.
That's correct. But there is, as I mentioned, this walkway and servicing block.
Sure.
And this developer is going to extend the services all the way from here to Toronto.
Right.
So I guess in winding up and what I'm looking at and the way I understood it is, and I think you said it earlier, that we don't need Derby Street to do this subdivision. Like Dan's subdivision doesn't need to have Derby Street. It'd be nice to do down the road, and I think it's a good compromise what we're looking at here, that if once all those landowners, and I know some of them, and some of them I don't think want to do anything, so to wait for them to all come up and whether they're going to pay for Derby Street, we'd be here for another year, and I think we have an option for number one. So I would like to get this subdivision up and running because we're, as you know, Palmerston and return to Belinda down there in economic development. One of our biggest drawbacks on getting more industry and more things happening is we need more lots and we need more housing. And I think Dan's plan brings a lot to the table there, and we can get this thing up and running. And I believe we want to get going on this. So, I mean, waiting around for everybody to make those decisions. And I have no problem not having the Derby Street connection using the lot, because I like, if I was buying a lot off Derby Street, if I was selling those off, those are premium lots. If you get a nice cul-de-sac, there's no through traffic. Those are nice lots for people. So I think they'll be probably premium lots if anybody wants to go up and put the services in down the road. But I'm all for what we see here, and I don't want to hold that one lot. I don't think that block is necessary. I'd like to see it get done. Anyways.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I'm in total agreement. I mean, I think it's time that we got this moving.
So maybe from a procedure perspective, then you would do a motion to receive the staff report and approve the recommendation laid out in the consultant's letter.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Councilor Turton. All in favor? Opposed?
I'm not sure.
Not sure? Okay. Well, I don't know.
On that one, I'm not sure.
Okay. Oh, it's done. Thank you. And we have one more.
Delegations, that's it.
Well, thanks for the delegations, and I can release you from the purgatory now if you like.
Or they're welcome to stay for the
Unless you
whole
have any
thing.
questions, of course. Yeah.
Back to work.
Oh yeah, sorry, it's public question period. Does anybody got a public question? Oh, okay, good.
But then you can leave.
Now we can all. Thanks, everybody.
See you.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. You know what? Neglected.
Not at this point.
No, somebody down.
Probably pick it up.
Okay. Is this
Correspondence.
correspondence? Okay, we got a lot of correspondence, man.
2, 3.
Yes, Councilor Caldwell on the correspondence.
Yeah. Number K, the Clifford Homecoming, Don Kenneth's letter.
Yep.
You know, we are constantly bragging about our wonderful staff, and I think the public doesn't get to hear or see this often. The letter is very short. I wondered if it could be read out.
Who wants to read that? Do you want to read it, Bill?
Okay. Dear Mayor Bridge, it seems these days that it is human nature to quickly. I have the right letter here, right?
Yeah, you got
Yep.
it. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
It seems these days that it is human nature to quickly criticize when things go wrong, but we are sometimes slow to compliment people who deserve it when they do a good job. I would like to take this opportunity to personally recognize and thank Belinda Witt-Graham, who has been so helpful to the Clifford Homecoming Committee in successfully obtaining the federal grant. We feel that we could not have accomplished this without her. I would also like to thank Al Carr and his staff, especially Mike Maynard, for their efforts above and beyond the call of duty during the entire homecoming weekend and the time leading up to the event. Al was in attendance for all committee and various subcommittee meetings and was most helpful and professional with his suggestions and recommendations. Our committee chairs all agree that Al made our responsibilities and efforts much easier. I feel that we are fortunate to have this caliber of people on the staff of the town of Minto. I would also like to personally thank you for your support and commitment to the homecoming and to the town for the startup funding that was made available to us. It was greatly appreciated. And that's Don Senek, Operations Manager, Clifford Homecoming 2017.
Yay.
Just on that note, they're having their appreciation Thursday night, so all the council have been invited to that. So make sure you let them know if did that come out, Emily? Oh, I thought it was supposed to have come out from them, but I got a note.
email, I think.
Yeah, everybody got an. I thought everybody got an email, so just let them know if you're coming. I said I would be there, so on your behalf, if you can't make it. But anyways, it was a great event, and they made some great money, I believe. We'll find out maybe closer another week or so when they find all the bills get paid. Motions received that of all of them, or just
I think all.
well, I wanted just to bring out the prostate cancer one, Phil.
Okay.
And I think isn't there a awareness month? Can I do that?
Sure. There's a resolution there. If
There's a resolution. It's September is prostate cancer awareness month, and there is a resolution. I say it. I just want to say unfortunately my dad passed away of prostate cancer, so it's very close to my heart as far as That, and I noticed in some of the statistics here, 1 in 7, and it's something that hits a lot of us. I'm sure everybody around this table must know somebody that's gone through this particular cancer. And the good news is sometimes if you get it early, certainly can survive, and you can survive for quite a while. So I think it's very important that awareness is there, because this is one of the ones that if you do check it out early, you have a chance to be around for a bit longer and enjoy some quality of life. So I should read this, Bill, and I can. Whereas prostate cancer is the most common cancer to affect Canadian men, whereas 1 in 7 Canadian men will be diagnosed with the disease in his lifetime, and whereas an estimated 21,300 Canadian men will be diagnosed with prostate cancer this year, and whereas the survival rate of prostate cancer can be over 90% when detected early, and whereas those with a family history of the disease or those of African or Caribbean descent are at greater risk of developing prostate cancer, and whereas Prostate Cancer Canada recommends that men get a PSA test in their 40s to establish their baseline, I, Mayor George Bridge, do hereby proclaim September 2017 as Prostate Cancer Awareness Month in Minto. And there we go. Gonna have a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Elliott, Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? Anything else? Then we'll just move it
One
forward.
more thing there.
Oh, yes.
I'm just wondering if we should support, I know we should support the double hatter
Oh, yes.
fund.
Where's that? Have we done that one in the past?
Yeah. But this one is, I mean, we had a young lady speak at AMO, and it was pretty disheartening to see her pour her heart out there and want to be a full-time fireman and a part-time fireman, and so many roadblocks. So, I mean, do we need a motion on this, or does that come later to donate, or is that the donation policy kicking in?
What they have here.
That's the annual reports. The one at the top, right?
G. Farrell.
He already has.
I think I'm looking at.
If I may, maybe if council wants to put an amount in a resolution, then we could add it to that.
Can't find mine on there, but anyways, okay. You have an amount in mind, Chris?
No, I don't have an amount. I would be very appreciative of that firefighter to have the support, because I know Caledon and that firefighter are paying the way.
Yep.
So
Can we leave that up to, I don't know, I guess we have $100 or just like at least give some.
I'll move that we donate $100 to the fund.
Yep. Okay. Moved by second by Councillor Caldwell. All in favor? Yeah, that was a very emotional speech that day, and I think her father or whatever had been chief of the local fire department, and she was involved here, and then she got a full-time fire job, and it's been quite a battle down there for what's happening.
Yeah, Ted Arnott's been pushing it for years. Yep.
I'll send that down to the mayor of Caledon, because I sit on Swift board with them as well, so I can send that down. Covering letter. All right. Okay. And we had a motion to accept all the rest. We're good. All in favor? Did you get that motion, Annalee? Yep. Okay. Okay. Staff reports. Oh, we only got 18. Okay, we're going to start at the bottom and work our way back up. Sorry, Linda. Oh, I'm sorry. You're first. Look at Linda's right. You got to be a little quicker, Linda. Get up there before you lose your spot. No, here we have Linda Dixon, and she's going to talk about our emergency measures and our flood. Thank God we're not in Houston. Yeah.
Or Montana, or BC.
Or some of them, yeah.
Or Windsor.
Yeah.
Or Washington State.
Okay. You guys been watching the news.
Okay. And then Irma's coming too, so who knows what Irma will do.
Yes, Irma's coming at 5. Should be a place safe. That looks like Houston, except for it's not quite 4 million people.
So there's a report that I have, and then attached to that is the after action report from the rainfall and flood event that we experienced here in Minto in the town of Harriston on June 23rd. a lot of the background information was taken right out of the after action report. I'm just going to go to the comments and highlight those, and then if there's any questions with the after action report. I think there's lots of staff that were involved in this room and participated in the debriefing, and the information that it is included in the after action report. We typically, with all our exercises, will do an after action report, but most definitely when we have a event of some kind, an emergency within a municipality, we've always done after action reports. And actually, it's one of the things that came out of the Elliott Lake recommendations too, is that there should be some form of debriefing and after action report. We've been pretty consistent in doing that anyway. So the purpose of this report is just to provide for information to council the after action report that was put together back at the end of July. We met at the end of July after everything had somewhat settled down. And then the other purpose is just to inform you that what we're going to try and do in terms of our meeting our compliance with the Emergency Management Civil Protection Act for this year is to submit, which we have done already, to the province an exemption request for exercise, and using the June event as that. So, and then our after action report will definitely provide substantive information to them on that basis. That's pretty much it, unless there's
Good
any
report.
questions.
Is there any questions?
Very thorough.
Very thorough. And we haven't heard, Bill, just, and it's not really in Linda's report per se, but have we heard much from the people that have had applied to the government? Or
I know that people have been asking about it. I haven't looked at the hits on our website.
Okay.
I have heard calls to the front and people being directed to the province. As for our situation, the treasurer advised we're just over 100,000 now, and creeping up towards our threshold, but we may not make the amount where we can apply for municipal funding. We're still recovering here. Obviously, we're making bagels in the mayor's office still. Our kitchen downstairs isn't repaired, and that's not unlike a lot of people still in Harrison who are still doing their repairs. So.
I'm doing breakfast, so on Tuesdays and Thursdays, if anybody wants to come out, bagel and bacon. Fun. My office here. No.
All right, that sounded pretty good.
But I think I don't know whether this is the last. We'll talk about it for now. We do talk about having a public meeting and in the fall, but just the patience of this council and the leadership, the mayor, deputy mayor who were directly involved with us, and Linda and the fire chief and all the staff who worked so hard during it. And thanks to the people too for being very patient, because they've been through a lot. And I was just looking at the picture there on the screen, and I can see my house right there.
Yeah, you're right there.
But it just seemed to get right to the edge and just made it into my basement. But a lot of other people had a lot worse damage, and we were down meeting with the fall fair organizers, and it was hard to believe that sort of where the water was. And anyway, just thank you to Linda for the report and for her work. She obviously gave of her time all weekend and beyond. So,
and I just want to make one other comment: is if we wouldn't have done the exercise we did a year or two before, I guess 2 years before, I guess, with the idea of what would happen in Harrison if we had that kind of water and the flooding and the islands and all that, we wouldn't have had the water rescue unit, which thank goodness Chris was able to go out and fundraise most of that and get that through his touch truck event and other things, and that was essential. And the other thing that the treasurer might be scratching his head and trying to get up to 150, but it wouldn't have been long getting up to 150 if we wouldn't have cut off our power to our main vaults. And all the things that we realized at that time, Mike, that we didn't know before, that water gets down there would have blown up those motors. We wouldn't have been back online right away like we were. Those are all things we learned from that exercise. I've mentioned that a couple of times to some people in government and at the provincial level, Linda. And when the minister called, I mentioned that too, that part of the reason we were able to keep our heads sort of above water was that. And that was, and so sometimes we have to do these exercises and we think, oh, why, what, it'll never happen. It happened, and by having it done, we certainly learned, and that's probably why we don't have $200,000 or $300,000 worth of cost So that's the good news part of it, right?
Yeah.
So thanks very much for the report, and I'm sure we'll keep following up with the people and making sure that they can work with the government as far as how they get reimbursed if they don't have insurance. So kind of important. And the other thing that we don't know yet, again, I'll put it out there because it's on the news and whatever, is make sure if you're out there in the farm country that you're checking the drainages, the municipal drains, because we know there's probably damage out there we don't know about yet. So hopefully farmers are taking the opportunities. They're going and taking product off and whatnot, that they can look and see where they're at, so we can get those in if we have to do some repairs on that.
I should also mention the Kinsmen are still taking donations. I don't know what they're at this point in time, but we do have that opportunity for people who would like to donate to those who didn't have coverage, or for the Kinsmen to give out at the appropriate time.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thanks, Lynn.
All right, thank you.
Motion to accept the report. Councillor Turton, Deputy Mayor Faulkner, all in favor? Good. Great. Only 17 more to go.
We like it.
Prolific bunch.
Well, where are you? You're right at the bottom.
I'll be really quick.
Okay, good.
So this is a signage grant application for Leonard's General Store. They went ahead and did the work because they wanted to have it done prior to homecoming. Normally we ask people to submit their application first, and but because of the situation, I told them to go ahead. So yeah, basically Leonard did a whole bunch of signage improvements to his store for the homecoming. The total value was of the eligible signs was about $2,300. So he does qualify for the maximum $1,000 grant. We have issued 3 signage grants for $1,000. Only one of them has actually been completed. The other 2 have not yet. So we have about $18,000 and change left in our CIP program, with one application that's come in for our structural funds. So we are able to give him this $1,000 grant, as well as take care of the structural grant application that came in. So just looking for approval of that.
It looks good. I kind of drove by and went, wow. Probably saw it at parade day, but
So all of the signs qualify for the program except for the backlit sign. We don't fund those. So the project was actually more than $2,300, but what's eligible in our program. So either way, he still qualifies for the maximum.
So we need a motion to approve. Councillor Elliott, Councillor Dirksen, all in favor? Bylaw enforcement notice. Sewer amendment report. Pam?
Everybody. So this bylaw was passed back in March, but while going after the set fines, the county attorney's office actually identified a couple problems with the wording. So we want to keep those offenses. We have to change the wording to make it work for the offense. So just the two sections, 827 says in case of failure to adequately maintain an oil interceptor to the satisfaction of the town may require an alarm monitoring device to be installed at the expense of the owner. That wording doesn't create an offense, so you really can't write a ticket on that. So we'd like to change that to read, where an oil interceptor installed to the requirements of the town is not properly maintained, the town may require an alarm monitoring device to be installed at the owner's sole cost and expense. Failure to install an alarm monitoring device when required by the town to do so shall constitute an offense under this bylaw. So that last sentence creates the offense and then gives us the authority to issue a fine. And if you want, I can read the next one too. I'm sure you've all read it.
Yeah, I did read it and carefully, and I know ignorance of the law is no excuse in respect to fines, but I'll guarantee you 99.9% of the people out there wouldn't have a clue what dental.
Well, and that, yeah, okay, and
happens when a gun stops.
I really don't know either, but anyways, that
So I'm just saying if we do that, then we have to inform the public of what.
Well, it would
Well,
only
is
be
it not
people in
just
the
a dentist
dental
office?
business that would
Exactly.
want to know. None of us will have it that. So
You can get one if you want it, Ron, but
No,
I
I
don't think
don't.
you need it.
I just I know how.
well, I think a dentist should know about it.
Yeah,
and
that's
that's what you worry about. If
That-
he doesn't
that
know
is-
about it, there's no.
That is
excuse.
specific to a dental office.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
gonna say.
Don't ask me what it is. I don't know. I think
Not
that's
good
the lead
to-
you put in your teeth.
something they use when they food.
Hurting already, as I think.
Yeah. All right, can I have somebody make? We have a recommendation. Yeah. The council receives the bylaw report regarding 82.7 and 86.4, bylaw number 2017. That. Councilor Elliott, Councilor Turton, all in favor? Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think it's that junk that you.
After they drill, they install it in your teeth.
Yeah.
I'm going there
Ceiling.
tomorrow.
There you go.
Have fun.
And this is from Stacy, and Stacy, congratulations to Stacy.
Yes, yep. She
Had
had,
her baby.
a baby girl.
Yep.
So that would have been on Friday. So
Friday.
nice,
Didn't win that
healthy
pool
baby
either.
girl and mom. So that's very good. So Stacy's report is regarding a notice of public meeting. It's in respect to an RFP that was released by the IESO. The proposal was or the RFP was for proposals to be submitted for a 50 megawatt storage facility just outside of Palmerston at the substation. So that's kind of right beside TG Minto there. So that's in North Perth, but they're mandated to at least let us know. So the proposal is for a obviously 50 megawatt lithium ion battery storage facility. So we've got an energy storage facility in Harrison, as you know. It's based on flywheels, but this is different technology. So the purpose of it is to decrease any fluctuations within the electricity grid, as well as having sufficient storage to dump on power if there's a big supplier or a big user that needs it. So it's just a notice for the public meeting, which is to be held September 11th at between 6 and 8 p.m. at the Wallace Community Center.
Right.
That pretty much sums it
They're
up.
doing a lot of work out there.
They are, for sure. So,
okay.
So, and yeah, our request is just for council to receive the information.
Motion? Deputy Mayor Faulkner, Councilor Turkson, all in favor?
Perfect.
Thank you. Clerk. Means got this one. Oh, it's Christmas.
It's Christmas. It was a little frosty out the other day, so it doesn't make you think about Christmas. So
16 weeks yesterday.
I have 16 more weeks. Oh, I don't want to hear that.
Really,
That's
Judy?
Less.
kind of scary.
Yesterday was 16 weeks.
So my report coming to you has to do with council minutes or council meetings for 2018, and as well for the Christmas office closure this year. We are requesting that it be closed for the week of Christmas this year. It's usually a very quiet time out at the office, and as well, if you look at the council meetings that you see there's a few changes in some of the dates, only because some of the months have 5 weeks. So just kind of spreading it out and making sure that we're covering off for any kind of meetings that most of council will be away at.
Questions? The one, yeah, go ahead.
I apologize right off the bat, but I'm going to be away, I'm pretty sure.
We need you
Are
there?
you in Paris again?
Which budget, which one is that?
The January 30th.
January.
Oh, January 3rd. Well, we can maybe,
I won't be here.
I will check on that.
well, okay, yes, you'll be gone. Okay, so maybe we should, we've got this in front of us, okay? Anybody's got any issues, should we have them send them in to us?
Well, Mayor Birch, maybe we would just take that one out
Take that
and
January
we'll
30th.
set it with you.
We'll set that one
Okay.
separate, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything around the Easter one, because we have 5 weeks there, and I'm going to be away that Easter weekend, so it's easier for the staff not to have to do something on with having a long weekend. So we got an extra, that just pushes everything. That got to give it lots of heads up on that. That shouldn't be too bad. Other than that, I think we're good. Okay. Motion?
Sure.
Mayor Faulkner, Councilor Turton, all in favor? So we're just taking that one out, right?
January 30th.
Yep. To be determined.
Elections.
So elections. So Bill 68 was an act to amend a whole bunch of different acts, and one of the ones that it was amending was for the elections. It is saying that the nominations must be endorsed by at least 25 persons. So we've received correspondence from the Municipal Affairs and Housing asking for feedback from municipalities. They had a couple questions on there. One was, would potential candidates in your municipality have any challenges in fulfilling the 25? And in looking back, the person who had the least amount of votes in the last election was 100 votes, so they probably would not have a problem getting 25 signatures. And they also asked then, too, about providing an exemption to different municipalities for the amount of people that are in their municipality. One thing is, you look at Mayor Bridge, if he had 25 electors, it'd be 1.2% of the total votes that he received. But for John Tory, it would have been 0.0006% of the votes. In other words, he'd probably have to get 4,500 signatures if you're going by percentages. I don't really feel that we need to get 25 signatures. Staff do not feel that way. I mean, council is already going out, you're putting in your nomination papers, you're already committing to running in the election, and I don't know that a difference in 25 would make very much, other than making a lot more work for some of the staff. So a recommendation is that the council receives the exemption to a nomination endorsement from the deputy clerk and advises the Ministry of Municipal Affairs. The town manager does not support the need for signatures on a nomination form, but is considered municipalities under 10,000 electors to be exempt.
I would suggest we're climbing awful close to that 10,000. I think we should perhaps just eliminate the size out of there. People work hard to vote and get elected, and you're just asking them to work harder, and I don't think that's necessary.
The 10,000, though, a rule from them.
No, that's just
something we threw in.
Yeah, you can make it 20.
Make it 20 or 15. I don't care.
Or 25. 25 or 25.
For it being in their period.
If I may, yeah, that's what we're saying. We don't support having it, but if they are going to have it, then there should be a limit.
Exactly. That's fine.
We're giving them sort of a template to go.
So we're looking at 20 or 25 then, or?
Whatever the motion.
You want
25 seems to be a number that's split for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
So why would you say
25?
Well, I guess when I first started reading this, like the question is, would potential candidates in municipality have any challenges in fulfilling the requirement to have their nomination endorsed by 25 electors? I don't think we would face any challenge here because we have a population. I'm thinking about some of the smaller municipalities in Northern Ontario that, half the municipality is on council, because they're very, very, very small. That's an exaggeration, by the way. So I don't know, are we answering the question by saying, no, we don't wish to, you know what I'm saying? We're not saying it's difficult.
Well, I think what we're saying is, what benefit is there?
Yeah.
Really,
we used to have to do that.
Yeah, but what benefit is there to go get 20 or 25 people to say you can run? I mean, if you had, I guess what they're trying to do is sort of, and I don't know what a city of Toronto has. Is it 25 all they have to have?
Everyone would be 25, no matter the size of the municipality, is what they're saying.
To me, it just makes work for the staff. That doesn't make any
true.
sense.
You have to check it all out.
Value has it,
Yeah, I agree. The person running, it's an extra job that they have to do to run around.
For sure.
And then the staff have to tabulate them. They have to call them, make
You
sure
have
that
to
they're on
verify.
the list and verify them all. And so we create probably a couple days work for the staff. And
I just say we don't support it, period.
Well, if we're given the choice, let's do that then.
Yeah,
that's what we are.
Do we have that choice?
There is 2 questions on there. Again, if there's going to be a challenge, and what number of electors in the municipality is the appropriate threshold.
I say, we're saying 25. We have
So
to
we're
give
saying
them
25.
we're saying 25,000.
Public consultation.
All right, I don't, is that the motion?
Tell them go back to the drawing.
Yeah, moved by Councillor Caldwell and second by, Judy? Ron,
I thought maybe Ron wanted his name on that one. I don't
But
know.
we were playing around with the 2025. We're saying 25,000. Okay, so that's, you're arguing with that? Sorry with that?
Oh, I'm just fine.
Okay.
I don't.
All in favor? I'm not going to spend a whole time.
Thank you.
We've wasted enough time already on it, for heaven's sakes. And you know how, I don't want to get ranting, but like somebody in the ministry there's probably spent 3 weeks on this.
Oh, and all their staff.
And all their staff to protect us out there. I have no idea.
Eileen?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Did I?
Gee, you're ranting.
I didn't say it out loud.
You're ranting.
It's going
I
great.
caused David's computer to go down.
Oh gosh.
Go great.
Okay. This you now, Bill?
I'm not sure.
Clerk, CAO clerk,
You
Ridge
go great.
So
subdivision.
Clare Ridge Estates, you already dealt with.
We already
You
dealt
received
with that.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I am on for the next one.
The next one.
The screening report for the Class EA in Hairston. We go through a little bit of the background on how long that started way back in 2014. And we brought it, one of the first things this council did in January of 2015 was hear the servicing proposal. And basically it needed $3 million of off-site work before we even got into servicing the lands themselves. So rightfully so, that kind of raised a red flag with you, and you asked us to go back to the drawing board, which we did with our consultant BM Ross. And then during that period, of course, we went to a comprehensive engineering analysis with a consultant with Triton, and they were helpful in helping us find solutions. So basically what we've come up with is gravity flow for basically 24 lots in sewer and water, but we have to lower John Street sewer to get gravity flow in that whole area. So instead of spending $3 million, we'll spend $1 million on pre-servicing. So that John Street project would be an excellent one for one of the future CWWF projects. It should have a fairly high priority, I think, but if you were to accept the recommendation in this report, then the Class EA will be final later this week, I guess.
Questions? Hoover? Moved by Deputy Mayor Falk, somebody else with Turton. All in favor? Good. It's done finally. That's great. Next one, Bill.
Mayor Bridge, this is First G Capital subdivision agreement. We received a letter which is included in your package. I've given you a drawing of the report of the subdivision as shown in our zoning bylaw, and then a drawing of the draft plan of subdivision. And then we went through the 58 some sections of the subdivision agreement to discuss with you the various requirements. I think we can achieve most of what the developer was asking for. Instead of a 50% security on all the on-site servicing works, we're suggesting 60%. There's no magic to 60%. It's just a figure that I guess I'd seen in Owen Sound when I was there. We did go from 100% security to 60%. But most municipalities, I would say, don't drop that like that. But we don't see a huge risk for the municipality if we went to 60% security. And I can go into more detail if you have any questions on what exactly that means. But all the other requirements as far as a model home and for whether there's a sidewalk on Main Street and all that would be put into the detail of the subdivision agreement when it comes back for your signature, and those things would be negotiated. We have done on-site snow removal in the past on subdivisions like this, but the rate would have to be negotiated when that road is finished, and it will depend on the condition of the road and the length of it and so forth. So I think it would be a little premature to put a figure on that amount, but certainly willing to work with the developer in that regard. So our recommendation is laid out in the report, and if there's any questions, I can try and answer them for you.
Yes. CEO White, I have two concerns. One is to set a precedent, if we're setting a precedent. Number two, if it's done in phases, then perhaps that concern is not justified, like where the 60% then would cover phase one. So if there's a dereliction of responsibilities by the contractor, then we'd still have our stuff covered. Is that a fair assessment?
Right. I guess if I may, Mayor Bridge, through you, there's two questions. Are we setting a precedence? I get yes, we would probably allow all the developers to go to 60% securities. I think that would be what your policy would be. And two, as far as phasing, I think we're looking at 60% of phase one, and then when phase one is done, I assume at some point he'd move on to phase two, and it would be
So it wouldn't be
60% of phase two.
60% of the whole thing.
Not unless he wanted to do it all at once. It really depends on what his exact intention is here. But that will be put in the final agreement, and we'll come to you. But I would think it would be 60% of phase one, and then we would deal with that under that agreement. And then if phase two started, then it would be 60% of phase two as well.
And it couldn't start until we received that confirmation of 60%.
If I may, you wouldn't sign the subdivision agreement until.
We have control there. You know what the amount, Bill, between 50 and 60 is as far as dollars on this?
Well, phase one, I think, was have it in the financial part of that. Yeah.
I had it there. I didn't put it to.
It's 2.5 million, so it's a sizable investment to do the entire subdivision. Mm-hmm. Phase one is 1.5, so 60% security would be 901,000, so roughly 900,000. 50% would be 750, so it's $150,000 in security that we're talking about. So I mean, it's a major investment on the developer's part. And obviously, the good news is we know this developer, and we also know the engineering consultant, so we're sharing on that.
And that's what I'm wondering.
That's the thing about the 50% that I kind of agree with. We know the developer, we know what we're doing, and we're creating a less hardship on financial amounts of money that the developer has to bring forward. Would it make it easier on his to get the development done, to deal with the 60%? That's another $200,000.
Well,
but we are setting a precedent in a way,
we are.
and we do know the developer in this case, but we might not know if it was comfortable.
Yeah.
Well, and I think when you say you're setting a precedent, I don't think it's a blanket precedent. I mean, I think you have to take into consideration who you're dealing with. If you've got a brand new developer, you may not want to do anything.
Can we go back to demanding 100% if we don't know the developer?
I mean, I think that's what
my question.
I think that's my opinion would be that, Bill, but based on circumstance, right?
If I may, I suppose we have our engineering standards. Our procedures are 100%. If we changed it to 60 for everyone, or 50, or whatever council's wish was, then the first approach would be 50. They would be funding and analyzing the development based on what our policy is. But there's nothing preventing you from going back to 100%. The next one that'll be, probably heard from today, will probably be Clare Ridge Estates. So I would think there's a developer we know too. He would probably want to apply it at 60%, but or 50%, whatever you approve. And then, but there's the Hein Miller subdivision for sale. Who knows who buys that one? You would have to change your policy and require 100% security. But I think it's a little awkward. Once you open the door, I think you've got to be consistent. But there's nothing saying you couldn't say, well, we don't know you, so we want 100% security. Think about what that message says to that developer, right?
I really don't think we're creating any precedent on any part of this, because if you're dealing with subdivisions, you're dealing with time of day, the time of when you're dealing with everything is a negotiation. I'm not correct. You can say one subdivision needs this, it's more appropriate. The other one may need something else because it's that subdivision. So to say that we blanketed and we made a decision solely on one subdivision agreement, I don't believe that's true. I believe everyone's different. Everyone will be treated different. Every subdivision will have different parameters of where you're going. So sure, maybe the next one will deserve a 50% too. Look at that. If we feel it's somebody we don't know or somebody comfortable with, we can go to 100%.
Say if we're looking at 60, no?
That's what it says now, but I think the developer would like to see
Yes.
it in his
Yeah.
letter.
So I guess my next question, Bill, would be, that's why I asked about how much money it was. What percentage of risk factor is that? Because one thing that I'm really excited about is the fact we're getting some developers wanting to develop, and developing is very costly these days. I mean, with all the rules and regulations you got to go through and everything else, and we need the housing, we need to get it going. So where can we help as a town? But at the same time, we have a responsibility from a financial side from the town not to put ourselves at risk. So where's the risk factor? Is it 50, 60? What is it? How comfortable you feel one way or the other? And I guess that's what I'm asking. That's a tough question, but
Me?
yeah.
Oh,
Well, you're not listening.
I was definitely listening to you. I just personally, my recommendation is 60.
Well, I know your recommendation is 60.
So,
but
50, I don't think it's like the other argument. I mean, for 10%, I mean, we know the developer. I don't think the world will come to an end if we don't ask for
10%,
10% more.
150,000 on this?
150,000. So, but with every bit you drop down increases our risk. So
Yeah.
it's the balancing act. You know, it's nothing against the developer who we know and sitting right here. So, I mean, that's not the issue. It's what is the municipality's approach to future developers who we may not know. And yeah, you can do a one-off here. I would almost guarantee you that the next subdivision will be 50 or 60%, whatever you ask for.
Yeah.
And then the next one we may want maybe another council, and they can
Do what they want.
put their mind to that when that time comes.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. I think it's a wonderful thing to have this development in our community. And I agree with everything that's been said here. I mean, Harge has been a big part of the main street in Palmerston. Getting the development across from TG Minto. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that was a swamp. And, you know, for $150,000, yeah, it's risk. But I would hate to see Harge walk away from this over $150,000. And it's quite a big amount. But to see what's happened over there across from TG and all the tax basin that we are getting out of there, it's been a good thing. I mean, it's been a good relationship. I really don't know, and I'm talking with some of our people, the relationship that the council and the town has had with Harge and his other folks. It's been good, and I don't know, 50, 60, you know, it's not that much money, but I'm in favor of this going ahead, and if it takes 50%, I would be in favor of that. Whether we're setting a precedent or not, I mean, it's a big thing. Okay, this is a big development, and what we need in Palmerston and Minto is housing. We've been told that time and time again by our economic development. And so here we have a builder coming to us, or a developer coming to us and asking. So, I mean, we need to consider this and think about it seriously.
Anybody else? So the recommendation, I don't know how you want to do this. Are you making it are you doing an amendment to the recommendation?
Yeah, I would.
I'd second that.
Okay. All right. So how do you want to deal with that, Bill? Should we vote on this
I would
first,
say
or?
they move the recommendation with the security under Section 17 being 50%. And all other things remaining the same, I would assume.
Any more discussion on that before we vote?
So this includes all of the allowances, all of the from Harge's letter.
Yeah, the only thing that we haven't come, if I may, Mayor Bridge, we haven't sort of given he asked for snow removal at $20 each time. We're saying we would want a separate agreement there on it. And I think there's this sidewalk on Main Street. I think there's a willingness to extend it. It's just a question of timing and how far, and whether it's the phase 2 or phase 1 and when that goes ahead. I don't think you need to make that discussion tonight. I think.
Okay.
We have a time to work on that.
Okay. I just wanted to know what.
I think other than
But
that, he's
totally,
getting
but
all
I'm
these.
completely in I'm
Yeah.
completely in favor of reduction in the security.
I too agree that Harj has been great to deal with and all that. That's not my concern.
No.
I do believe we are setting a precedent. And that's why I have difficulty with 50%. That should be 60%. That's just my personal feeling. Not for Harj, for the next guy.
All right, so we're going to have that, and we'll take it to a vote and go from there, okay? So, do you want me to read the recommendation again, or you got it at the bottom there?
Sure.
I'm just going to, it's amended to 50% of the total servicing cost.
Well, you haven't moved any. He's moved the recommendation at 50%.
Yes.
So we don't have to vote on an amendment yet because we haven't really.
Okay. So
The recommendation has no status.
That's right.
Until you move
sorry,
it,
sorry,
right?
Bill. You're right. You're right. Yeah. Okay. So we just changed that to 50%.
So he's moved it at 50, and he had a seconder too.
Yeah, we had a seconder and Councillor Elliott.
We wanted it at 60. We'll have to make an amendment to.
Well,
No, we have to
vote, we
vote
vote
on
on
this
this
motion.
first. Vote on this first. I would
Either way, yeah.
either way.
If it gets defeated, it'll go back to 60.
Or something.
Or something. We'll go back and have to redo it. Okay. All right. So all in favor of the motion as at 50%. Same motion, but 50%.
50%.
Yeah. All in favor? Opposed? So 3-2, and I guess I should have voted. I would vote for. So it'd be 14.
Good to go.
Well, it's not vote, recorded vote anyways. We're good to go.
Yep.
But be prepared to. We'll have other people asking for that too.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'll turn it over to the treasurer and Councillor Caldwell.
Oh, sorry.
And we have 3 items on the agenda this afternoon. And the first one is the tax collector minutes of settlement and assessment of adjustment. And I'll turn it over to Treasurer Duff.
Great. Thanks, Chair Caldwell. So we have a lot of minutes of settlement and ARB this time. Part of it is because we're in the first year of the 4-year assessment phase in, so you tend to get more appeals. Also, maybe with the publicity, people are looking at their tax assessment notices, so you notice a lot of them are what we call the FTRT, where farmland reverts to residential, then they appeal and get it back. The other thing we have this time is we've had successful appeals by ratepayers for, say, 2012 to 2016. So they win their appeal, but it's not in time to make the 2017 assessment roll, which is prepared in the fall of 2016. So you see this 2017 adjustment too. So there are quite a few, but there's, I suppose, an explanation for all of them.
What?
Yeah,
May I just ask on,
certainly.
not sure how to relate.
If you
it.
give me the roll number.
The end of the roll number is 13210. It's an assessment of 10,018.08. And it just says adjustment based on similar properties.
Yeah, so that means they've done an appeal, and ARB or MPAC has looked at comparable properties, and they'll go, oh yes, you're right, you're overvalued. And there's a few like that.
Surprised there is any like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's always.
Quite a bit of money.
Yes.
How did this fit into our budget?
Well, our budget is generally about 50,000 that we set aside for our share. So here's 17,000. This isn't the first one we've done this year, and it probably won't be the last one too. And there's a few really large appeals out there that may not get settled in 2017. But and the other thing, if you remember from your phase in, assessment decreases go in immediately, and those aren't ones that are appealed. Those are just ones that if you lower your assessment, that gets put in force immediately, whereas if your assessment goes up, which is the vast majority, it's over 4 years. So once again, we kind of get the short end. Yeah.
Would there be any other questions or comments? Then the recommendation is the council receives the September 2017 report from the treasurer and tax collector regarding assessment adjustments and approves the adjustments outlined. May I have someone make that motion, please? Deputy Mayor Faulkner, seconded by Mayor Bridge. All in favor? And the motion is passed. And the second item is our approval of accounts.
Okay, so because we didn't have 2 meetings in August, we've really got 2 rounds of accounts there. So in the first one, some of our highlights are some engineering. As we previously mentioned, we're trying to track all the flood expenses in that too. So we've had some repairs and gravel work and some tree trimming in that too. That's about 12,000 this time. Expensive truck repair, 4,600. Some more engineering, about 46,000. Some work done at the arenas, dashboard repairs for 11,600, and washroom partitions for 4,500. And those are the main things there. A couple of pays. And in the other one, we've got some more expenses to our Public Sector Digest program, another 11,000. Did 120,000 in sidewalk works, and I know we always get requests for more sidewalks, but we do spend a lot on sidewalks. And also there's another 23,000, primarily gravel, for shoring up those lost away roads, but 23,000. Some more coder units for our water system, our meters, about 8,000 there. And so a one-way viewing glass at the Minto Dance Academy for 2,700, and some work on the ball diamonds at 2,600. And as our economic manager referred to, we've been helping out on our structural grants, and we'd won downtown Palmerston for the $40,000. And we also spent about 11,000 on the Palmerston entrance sign. So time of year where we're putting out a lot of money. But anyway.
Any questions or concerns?
I'll move.
Okay. And the recommendation is that the Council of the Town of Minto receive the Treasurer's report regarding approval of accounts and approves the Town of Minto accounts by department for June and July 2017. Moved by Councillor Turton, seconded by Councillor Dirksen. All in favor? And the motion is passed. And the final item is in connection to the connecting link.
It is. Yeah. And this is money in. So just to refresh your memory, we put in an application under intake 2, which is basically from James Street in Clifford north to the former town limits there. And we were successful. We got an approval letter on March 29th. And then Thursday afternoon, we got the contribution agreement. So this is work that we'll do possibly start in 2018. We originally thought we'd go into 19, and that's to be debated. But anyway, this is our approved amount of $987,665. So again, this is road work. It doesn't cover sanitary or water or streetscapes or that. But we definitely want to move forward with this project. So another agreement.
Are there any questions? The recommendation is the Council receive the report from the Treasurer dated August 30th, 2017 regarding the contribution agreement for the Ontario Connecting Links Program Intake 2, 2017-18, and considers a bylaw in open session authorizing the Mayor and CAO Clerk to sign the agreement. Mayor Bridge, seconded by Councillor Dirksen.
I saw Councillor Dirksen out of the corner of my eye. She was going for it.
Oh.
All in favor?
All right.
No, there was a
Motion
race.
passed.
No.
Okay,
Thank
all
you.
for now.
I don't get to do it very
Back to
often.
Mayor
though.
Bridge.
No, that's true.
Yeah, Chair Turton.
Thank you very much, Mayor Bridge. We've got a few items, 6 items on the agenda today from Public Works, and the first one, where am I here then? There's 5. No, there's 6. So are we starting on 13 here, you guys?
No,
You're the chair.
You're
Sorry.
14. Number
Pardon me,
14.
we're on 14,
Yeah.
and we're at municipal drain number 23. And we'll ask Mike to explain this to us.
Okay, so we just received a signed Section 78 for an improvement on this existing municipal drain. What the landowner is requesting is to take the existing open ditch and turn it into a closed system. So this is something that we can't do under under normal maintenance. So we have to have this request signed and presented. Is there any questions with this?
Questions on this?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are you okay with that?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. For sure.
So the recommendation is the Council of the Town of Minto receives the road and drainage foreman August 22nd, 2017 report regarding the Municipal Drain 23 petition and improvement under Section 78 of the Drainage Act and appoints Dietrich Engineering Limited to represent the town's interest in this regard. Can I have a mover and a seconder, please? Deputy Mayor Faulkner, Mayor Bridge, all in favor of the motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Second item then is another drain, number 60.
So this is another drain which has been, there's been multiple repairs done on this section of drain over the last probably 6 years. It is in bad shape. The area that's circled there is the area that's in question. South and to the east, like the upper portion of that municipal drain, was actually reconstructed in 2005. And at the time, why the lower end wasn't as part of the project, I have no idea on that. But this location does warrant for a Section 78 as well for an improvement due to the current condition.
Questions? Go ahead.
I'm just trying to understand exactly where this drain is.
So in between the Ayton Road and County Road 2.
No, that doesn't make sense. They intersect.
Ayton Road and County Road 2. The other portion of County Road 2.
Oh, that way. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. It's on.
It's on the 14th. Yeah.
Kind of on the 14th.
Yeah.
Terry's going to show us. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Other questions? Recommendation is the council receives the road foreman's report regarding municipal drain number 60, improvements under Section 78 of the Drainage Act, and appoints Dietrich Engineering Limited to represent the town's interest in this regard. Can I have a Councillor Caldwell is moving it. Seconder, Councillor Elliott, thank you very much. All in favor of the motion? Against?
It's made it in time.
Carried. Thank you. Next item on the list is municipal curb painting for the visual a needy child. On go ahead, Mike.
Okay. The staff received a letter from the Upper Grand District School Board regarding a student with which is blind or low vision, which needs accommodations at the high school there. The letter is requesting that they paint portions of the barrier curb, outlining the facility at the high school there. As you can see, the locations are laid out on the attached map that was submitted. Is there
any questions on this? Go ahead.
Thank you, Chair Turton. Just out of curiosity, how's the painting going to help, or is it going to identify for other people that that's a special area?
I believe that this student can see certain
colors,
like certain lights or colors, or there's certain aspects that this student is able to see, and it will aid with that.
So what are we going to do to the curb so that the yellow paint assists that student? I'm having real trouble trying to figure out how that's going to aid the student.
So they can,
So they can see yellow, but if the curb's the same, nothing changes.
Everything's the same. He knows he's coming to a curb because it's yellow.
With the drop.
Yeah, like maybe it's perception. Like maybe this person can't see the difference between the street level and the sidewalk level, for instance.
Patricia had that condition.
Yeah, so that.
No, I totally understand that. I just don't understand how the color is making the difference.
But he would know, he or she would know that she's coming to a yellow curb, and now be able to feel the way to see it.
And not trip over it.
Yeah.
Mayor Bridge.
Okay. Well, I assume that you got this from somebody that is helping this student that understands this. So I would imagine that we can guess why, but I'm
doesn't
assuming
really.
that's.
I'd just like to know for my own interest.
There's a reason why.
Just make a request to Mike that when you're given permission or sending a letter, maybe you could ask a little bit about that. Other questions? Recommendation
Ron to come and paint.
that the council receives the road foreman's report dated August 30th, 2017 regarding the municipal curb painting for visual needs student and approves the Upper Grand District School Board painting a 4-inch yellow line along the top of the concrete municipal curbs in the area outlined in the report, subject to the board maintaining the painting. I have a mover, Deputy Mayor Faulkner. Councillor Dirksen, all in favor of the motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you very much. Next item is winter operational improvements. I'll ask Mike to go ahead on this one, please.
Okay, this report has been a while in the making. We're currently winter operations. We have 13 full-time and part-time staff, which use 12 pieces of equipment to provide winter control between the hours of 3 a.m. and 1 p.m. typically, with another operator coming in then at 5:30 till roughly 7 o'clock p.m. to do any sort of maintenance on the county roads 2 and 3 under contract with Wellington County. Staff, historically, we receive some complaints about our winter operations the way they are, and our ability to respond is dictated by the snow removal policy and the minimum maintenance standards. Over the years, with the changing lifestyles of residents and habits, with shift work, with after-hour activities, even the weather patterns and the different storms, we're getting a lot more freezing rain events or freezing drizzle events, which is bringing different situations to our attention. So in order to improve this, the staff's looked at our operations, and we are actually proposing to kind of change it to a shift work, which would be from 2 operators starting at 3 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. These operators that starting at this time would do the regulatory patrol and then make the necessary call-ins as required for that day. So they would actually call in the other, I guess it'd be 10 operators for that shift. And then a second shift of 2 operators, which would fully service the rural hardtop roads, would start at 2 p.m. until 10:30 p.m. daily. To accommodate this shift or the shift work, we would be using, this says 12 pieces, but we would be using 13, which includes the patrol truck for the initial patrol in the morning. But then once that patrol has been completed, it would drop down to 12 pieces of equipment and using 14 full-time and part-time staff members. The changes in the hours would actually extend our staff presence in a day from the existing roughly 14 hours in a day to 21 hours, with also having myself and my lead hand at the office here from 7 to 3:30 daily. And also with these changes, we would be actually optimizing the use of our equipment. Like a lot of times there's equipment that sits in the yard because we don't have the staff availability to use it, and we're able to maximize the use there. We would be using the 2 backhoes to do the snow removal in the parking lots, which currently we've been using a single axle plow and our patrol truck. The backhoes were never really, they were used when needed, but they were sitting a lot of the time. So this way we can use them a lot more, and having an extra staff member focused on those parking lots, we can get things cleaned up earlier in the day, and then also help out with some of the other operations in the towns as well. Is there any questions so far?
Councillor Elliott, go ahead.
Actually, you were first, but that's okay. The question I have, paid parking spots in different parking lots that
Yes.
we do snow removal on those.
Yes.
Are we going to call them to let them know that we are coming to you people? I'm probably not going to be doing it, but are you going to call people to let them know they're coming so they can get their cars moved?
That is one thing that is very hard to orchestrate, just for the simple fact is people on shift work. We're in there normally anywhere from 5 o'clock until 11 o'clock in the morning in those parking lots. When the staff's out there, they usually learn when the majority of them are out of the parking lots, and which makes it the easiest time for them to do the majority of it. It's really hard to get everybody on that same page, and we have to find then a spot for them to park while we're doing that.
So the first set of snow removal will be clean where you can, and then the second part will be when they move their cars.
Yeah, and try to get into those other areas. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My
Councillor Colwell.
question may be a little premature because you haven't got that far yet. It's on financial.
Yeah.
Want to wait or do you want?
No, you go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
All you're talking about in the financial considerations is the pusher attachment for $14,000.
Yeah.
But you also have extra staff costs and equipment costs. Is that not correct?
The additional staff cost would be basically a part-time seasonal operator that they're getting a standby pay only unless they are called in. But then that also should offset some of the overtime that the other staff members are currently running into with an extended day shift. They could be out there for 12, 13, 14 hours a day right now, which should be limited to a much lower need for them at one time. If you're
going to test that.
Yeah, this season we are gonna look at the whole situation here to see exactly what the pros and cons of doing this sort of shift will be.
Various machine usage as well.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, that was my only question.
Mayor Bridge.
Well, and I just following up sort of what Councillor Caldwell was talking about, and I kind of read into it, and when you read the whole thing, sometimes you just comes out too. But the staff availability is where I think we're going to have more, which we've had in the past, which we haven't been able to. Once we do one run,
yeah,
our staff, because they're not available down later on to do another one. That we get those storms where early in the morning we hit and then it hits again, and the person's looking to say, well, we only got plowed once, and because of limitations, and that's what you're trying to, I think, work on, was the fact that $1, it might not be more dollars, it'll just be because you have an extra staff member or two that they'll save those dollars from the overtime and the fact that we get times out.
Yeah.
And when we have a timeout situation, when you have 2 or 3 days of bad snow, then we just haven't got anybody to go out and do that second lift. So we're hoping that from what I gather, we're hoping to do that. And the fact that you're using graders instead of plows in some cases, and I like the idea of the backhoes, because I think your backhoes are far better in those parking areas than trying to do this, because you can pick things up, put them somewhere, and at least you get more room.
Yeah.
So I think and pick your cars up, for the plow on. Yeah. I don't know. So I think there's been a lot of thought put into this, and I know you're going to continue on with it, but I'm kind of liking some of the things. But again, we won't know until we try for a year, I guess.
Yeah. One other thing to go along with that as well is with the shift work, a lot of times what we see is the operators are in the morning, and then as the sun comes out in the day, it'll actually break up the roads out in the rural areas to turn it to a slushy somewhat unsafe situation as well. But then we don't have anybody out there to clean that off, and then it actually refreezes. This way, during that time, the operator should be out there, and we may not even need to service those roads in the morning. So then that would actually cut back on the call out of some of those part-time staff members at that time. There's a lot of things that need to be kind of worked out. We're hoping that it'll limit or reduce the amount of material that we use out on the roads, being able to do different things at different times in the day as well. So, yeah.
Deputy Mayor Faulkner?
Thank you. I think that's going to be a great thing. It'll be tested out, of course, but and I applaud you guys for coming up with innovative ways to cut overtime.
Thank you.
I applaud you guys for that.
Other questions? I think last year we heard it from some of our ratepayers out in the rural Minto, and I really think that you guys have put a lot of thought into this, and hopefully it'll work. And again, I mean, we can hone things during the year, and next year could be different, but this is the plan going forward. So the recommendation is that the council receives the road foreman's report dated August 30th, 2017 regarding winter operational improvements, and council approve the implementation of the winter operational changes for 2017-18 and purchase a snow pusher attachment, and that staff report back in the spring 2018 on the results of the new strategy. Deputy Mayor Faulkner, Bear and Bridge. You got a question, sir?
Yeah, and a question. Just, I'm wondering if, and I really like the fact these maps and whatnot, and we always get a lot of questions, and is there a possibility that we can get this on the website?
The updated
maps, and you know and the I guess in here you actually talk about what the commitment is, right? So that at least if you know you're on a such and such a road, this is what we're going to try to do, and where we're going to try to do some more. But if we had that there, then if I can refer somebody, they give me a call, and I'm not sure exactly where they live, and they're out in one of these side roads, and I'm not sure which connects to what, I can say look on the website, and you can see what your pattern would be.
Yep, sure.
Mr. Chair.
Yep, go ahead.
Sometime in October, we'll be putting our snowplow right on our website.
Oh, excellent.
Every time you want to know about snow, you just click on the plow and
you're ahead of me.
We'll make sure that's all in there.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah.
They even do a daily update as to when they've been out. And so
nice.
forth.
Nice. Beautiful.
Any other questions? So we have a mover and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Great
Against?
Thank you.
Carried. Thank you.
Don't leave.
Final item on the agenda is an update from our CAO White in reference to the asphalt work that we've had go on in the town of Minto over the last little while. So who wants to lead this?
Well, Mr. Chair, I'll start, and then Mike will give you all the actual accurate information. But that 80% of your capital budget, or $4.5 million, is under Public Works. And we've got a lot of irons in the fire in that department. And you've had a number of reports over the year about what we've been doing. I think we've increased the communication from Public Works. You had a choice in what sections of sidewalk you did. You added in a section. You had a choice about paving and so forth. So I think the staff are bringing forward more and more information for you in Public Works to help you make decisions, have you involved in the work. So we thought it would be a good idea to let you know where we are. Everybody's been asking, when are we going to be paving this project or that project? And so I think they've done a very good summary on where we are in asphalt. And 16th line, you may even be paving it today or as we speak.
It started today. They got rained out around 10:30 this morning.
They were past Mackenzie's when I drove by.
Yeah. So a lot of that work is underway, and they'll be moving back towards doing all the other parts of Minto, and hopefully that's done this month. Our asphalt work, sidewalk work is finished mostly. I think they're coming back to do a little bit of stuff throughout our area. They just did the Clifford Arena.
They got rained out up there as well.
I was there today too, and they're actually just pouring. And they thought they're going to get rained.
Yeah.
So just a little note on that one. When you see it, we talked about landscaping in there. It's $10,000 cheaper to pour a solid concrete pad. So we're going to do that. and then we'll talk to, maybe we'll cut out sections for the trees, or we'll do planters on it, one or the other.
Yeah.
But I figured, as much as I want a landscape for $10,000, I figured you guys would mind just, if it'll look like a sidewalk, but it'll give the separation we need, and we'll get the drainage, and I think we can make it look good in the springtime. So the sidewalks, and we did add in the section on William Street, which you had asked for. So basically, we have sidewalk all the way down to our crosswalk. We just can't get our pedestrian crossings approved by the province yet. So you have a letter in there for your information. Some of the people like it where it is at Union Street in Harrison, but because it's so close to the light, it technically has to move to William. So we're going to continue on with that and do that probably if we can this year. If not, it'll be next springtime. It depends on when the province approves those. But the other ones are in. Did the county do theirs?
I haven't seen it done
Not
yet. No.
So they did one, and they have another one to do. We got ours finished. There is a little bit of issue on the signage around that one, but Mike's working through that. The one on the main street, and Jane, the quote for some of the curb work with that was really high, so we're trying to get a better quote on that from our sidewalk contractor. So that delayed that, but we do plan on doing that one at Main and William in Palmerston this year, and we're just waiting to hear on it. Ann Street in Clifford, Moorfield, I think, has staged some equipment up there, and I don't know that they're digging just yet, but 6 of those 10 lots have, 4 of the 6 lots have closed, and a 5th one is going to close here shortly. So they're working with Triton to make sure that the elevations of their homes fit in with Moorfield's elevations on their sewer line. So we're all working together up there, and that project's going to go ahead. But just a reminder, next year you'll want to put curbs in down there and probably pave at least one section. And we do need a couple street lights, because I think there's 10 homes nearly well underway, and several finished. So it's really changed in the last few years. George Street, if you're driving out here, you probably saw that they've got a lot of that torn up, and before Fall Fair, we'll probably have that whole intersection at Young and George torn right up. But we did meet with the Fall Fair. The mayor was there, and Mike and Jeremy from Triton, and we think we have a way that they can do a lot less fencing, and people can get in there and use the trailer park site for parking. And we believe at least one of those trailers will be out before Fall Fair, maybe 2. So,
open.
So Mike's been working on that, and the staff have been working hard on. And that project will be paved mid-November. So for the bulk of the ice season, it will be pretty good down there. Allure Street in Clifford, Steve Evans did a great job finishing on time, and we're still doing the detailed design for the connecting link agreement, and we hope to have that to the public in November, and we'll talk about phasing. And of course, there's the Northwest Clifford secondary plan we got to do out there, so lots of information coming forward to the public on it. Highway 9, we did have a notice of project come forward. We're working with the province. It could be interesting between Harrison and Clifford in 2018. So, but we want to make sure our infrastructure meshes with their work. And cemeteries, we did. We have started the road layout. I don't think we've actually dug it out yet.
No.
And we'll be going to RFP in the fall. So Mike and all the public works guys have done a great job coordinating with Triton and our contractors. We're very fortunate to make sure that they do pay their attention to Minto and get the work done that we need done in a timely fashion. And with the weather this year, it's been really a challenge for all of us. So that's where we are, Mr. Chair. If there's any questions, Mike can.
Anything to add, Mike?
No, I think Bill got it pretty good there. Yeah.
Oh, it's very busy. That was a very good report, and I'm here to tell you that George Street is. We're putting sidewalks in, and we're taking sidewalks out. So the sidewalks are out on George, and I mean it was really quite interesting. I've never been on a street, lived on a street that's had been under construction before, and so I mean the process before, the guys coming in and making sure the homeowners knew that it was happening, and all kinds of people around the backyards hooking up water, and it was really good. I've had comments from some of my neighbors that the education process was excellent. So
That's good.
so that's really good. So the recommendation here is that the council receives the CAO clerk's August 24th, 2017 report, Public Works update, asphalt work, pedestrian crossings. And can we have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Caldwell, thank you. Councillor Elliott, all in favor of that motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you, and I'll pass the chair back to
Mr. Chair. Sorry, before you leave, could you also receive the email from Karen Allen
Oh yeah, Karen's.
on the?
I make a motion to receive that.
seconder.
Have we responded to email?
I have. I just told her if I may,
Yes,
she
go
gave
ahead,
me
sir.
permission to put it on the agenda, and you can see my response. I did say I will be doing that. So I don't think we made any promises that would have an impact, but she did want to have that information too.
Okay. All in favor of the that motion? Against? That's carried. Thank you. Appreciate your help, Mike. Thanks a lot. I pass the chair back to our mayor.
Yep.
I never read it.
Okay, I think we have one more thing on the.
I did see
Before
that.
we go into the. We get this done before, or you want to take a break and then do this after the public meeting? Okay, just asking, everybody. Oh my gosh. Like, okay, let's get her done then.
Get to the man.
Okay, I'll turn this over to you and Gord, Phil.
Well, I don't know. I've probably talked enough, but you see the amounts. 1.2 million top-up funding is available as long as our treasurer gets our application in by the 27th of September. You need a project to be 1.342947 million to get your 90% funding. So if you were to pick Brunswick Street, it wouldn't be 90%. It'd be more like almost 40% or 50%, whatever. And I don't know that you want to borrow $1 million along with borrowing for Clifford in 2018. So this work all has to be done by March of 2019. So, and this also has to be health and safety oriented and in your tangible capital asset management plan. So we listed 5 other bullet points: the Minto Normanby town line, which fits into the sweet spot, but West Gray isn't using that same project. The 12th line reconstruction, which is a little too low for this particular program, so you'd be leaving a bit of funding on the table there. Queen Street and Harrison, Queen Street and Palmerston could be sized appropriately, or plant upgrades in Palmerston. Those were the projects we came up with that fit the criteria. The Palmerston Minto Road lift station does not fit this criteria for this particular program because it's more development oriented rather than health and safety. The Brunswick Street project, we would really like to do that one, but if you were to use this program, I would probably split it in 2. And because there's a culvert there that has to be done along with this pumping station, so you could split that one in 2 and pick it. But we had quite a discussion in Public Works with treasurer present and Triton people, and I guess we're kind of leaning towards one of the Queen Streets, if it was fair to say. Oh, Gord, if you had any.
No, yeah. So, yeah, it's very difficult because they're all worthy projects. And again, the unique thing is, you know how much money you've got. They derive that from $2 million less an accumulation of your OCIF formula. So what's left over? In our case, it's $1.2 million. And we're really heavily committed to the Clifford Connecting Link project next year. So yeah, I think we all agree Brunswick Street is like probably the most vital health and safety, but we've been turned down once and it's difficult to, we'd be borrowing at least another $1 million for that one. And so yeah, we talked, 2 hours, I'm sure anyway. And the 2 Queen Street ones kind of came out as ones that definitely are in our plan. And they're probably kind of incremental because I don't know if we do them next year if we didn't do something. But I mean, we're pretty easy as to whatever one you want, but there's a lot to consider. It's not an easy decision regardless.
I realize that.
Mm-hmm.
And the dollars, the grant versus the dollars we would have to spend is
Mhm.
what?
Well, say it was 2.5 million, and that's probably considerable. So we're only going to get 1.2.
So it's
we've got
roughly 50%.
Roughly,
Dollar in, dollar out.
roughly, yeah.
Okay. And I guess my question would be, the deadline has to be done by March of 2019.
Which kind of means next year.
That's right,
Mhm.
which means that it has to be done next year. Are we already ambitious enough and maybe we should pass on this?
I'd hate to give up 1.2
Oh,
million.
I know that. Oh,
That hurts.
And just on that, the only thing I'd be worried about is we've got a commitment from the federal government for their next election, anyways, and the province. Provincial.
This is purely provincial.
This is purely provincial,
Mhm.
and we're in another election, so who knows what's going to happen after that. I'd hate to leave the 1.2 on the table if we can get it.
Mhm.
I just wanted to mention too, it isn't really 50%.
No.
If we did, say for example, Queen Street North in Harrison, we'd get 90% of the budget.
That's right, 90%.
90%.
Mhm.
So it could receive full funding.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Because it's the amount of dollars.
Your maximum is 1.3. You can't get much more than 1.3.
Yep.
Yeah, 90%. Yeah, so that's why you want to pick one close to where 1.3 is.
Yeah, so then that's a no-brainer then, isn't it?
Well,
From a purely financial point of view, that one stands
Yeah.
out. But there's other considerations.
exactly. This is the most viable project.
And so
I mean, the 2.5 is a little too far the other way.
Yeah.
We took it in sections.
Yeah.
But I don't understand structures A, B, C.
Oh, those
Could you
are
explain that a little bit.
Culverts on the town line.
culverts.
Yeah, it's there's 4 structures out on the Minto Norby town line. One that is in rough shape, and the other 3 they need some work to better, like for safety concerns out there as well. There's nothing imminent right now on any of them, so it's something that can wait for a little while too.
So it's not in our 5-year budget plan at this time?
It has been in the budget plan. It's just trying to coordinate with us with West Gray. That's been the hard part.
See, if West Gray doesn't have it in their budget, we can't do it, and they haven't. Really, so it kind of puts us out. So remember we did the baseline road. We had that for years in our budget,
Yep.
and they kept saying no, we haven't. And then finally they called us and said, "Oh, we want to put it in this year." So we changed our budget around to do it. But when you get in these cooperation ones, it's tough because unless they put it in,
And we can't do our part.
well,
and then
a culvert we can't do
road.
half a culvert. It's a half a road, right? So yeah, we're dead in the water on that one, I think.
Okay.
So
So
unfortunately.
that does narrow it down.
Mhm. Yeah. So can I? Oh, go ahead, Ron. Yeah.
Are any of these, are we going to do any of these anyway? Like, just because we're getting a grant, we want to do them? Or,
It's the
or
timing.
if we don't get the grant, we're not going to do them. We don't have to do them. Like, for example, the Palmerston sewage plant upgrades. Do we have to do that?
If
Or
I
are we
could,
going to let it?
maybe I could answer you that one. Palmerston sewage plant upgrades. I think we would want to include that in our try and do as much as we can through our operating budgets or other programs. So I would pull that out because you're not going to get more capacity there either. It's just existing plant. So that one, yes, and the 12th line too. I think we did a little bit of work up there, and we paving 3 kilometers of 16th line. So we may want to try and fit part of that one into our existing asphalt program. And so we heard that Brunswick Street, I think, is too high and probably wouldn't be able to do it in the time frame. And then the A, B, C, and D are out because West Gray's not doing it. So you're down to two.
And Queen Street in Harrison.
Really bad. Editorially, I feel like that's our worst road, but I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to ask. Remember in our scoring system, Mike? Where do these rate at 5s or probably both of them?
Queen Street in Harrison is probably the worst one. Queen Street and Palmerston also had those public safety concerns.
Yes, going out
at the south end
with
there
no sidewalks
as well.
and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So those two are, I think,
it's a toss-up.
yeah.
And in fairness to Queen Street, Palmerston, we could probably scale that one down to one right into the sweet spot too. So
Could we?
I think so. So I don't want the $2 million to throw you off. You could maybe do sidewalk on one side versus the other, and a few little less things. So the survey work on both has been done by Triton.
Mhm. And,
So-
and there's no other EAs or anything on these that we're aware of either.
Is there servicing under both of them? And which of the servicing's in worse shape? We know the roads are bad.
They both have problems. Queen Street in Harrison is 4-inch water main, so that's undersized. And then there's sections of the storm and sanitary on Queen Street in Palmerston. Sanitary has actually froze in a couple locations. And then water main upgrades as well there too. So they both have some pretty good issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, will they give us 2.4 million?
No. All right. Okay, there's your two options. And you know what? It's even when you go back and think, and you don't want to think this way, but like we've done a lot of work in Palmerston, we're just doing George Street and Harrison. It's not like we haven't looked after both towns recently. Yeah. So it really is. I almost I hate to lay it on staff, but which one do you want? Which one you want to do? Because that's almost where it's at. I mean,
Yeah, both needed.
That's why we're asking you.
yeah, I understand that.
You're coming around to our way of thinking
You
here.
know, you go through the asset management plan and
Yeah.
judge the condition of each of them and see which one is in worse shape.
Which has the most points?
Like if you were going to bring one forward to 2018, which of the two would you bring forward?
Well, realistically, I haven't received any phone call complaints about the surface on Queen Street in Harrison. Where I know that it has been well known out there, but there hasn't been any actual submissions in regards to it. There has been some public safety concerns brought to council in the past about Queen Street in Palmerston, and I have had pothole complaints and stuff from that one over there. So.
Which has more traffic on it? It's gonna help you. Can that help?
Palmerston probably would see more traffic because it is leaving Palmerston at the south end there.
Is in Harrison? I'm gapping here, but does Harrison have sidewalks now?
One side.
One side has sidewalks.
And they're the old ones.
They're the old ones, yeah. But there's no barrier curb or anything.
No,
there.
but there's a sidewalk. That's the safety concern we have with the one in
Palmerston. Yeah.
We can maybe get rid of that stop sign.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know.
I guess if I may, the CWWF deals with water and wastewater,
not roads,
and not surface water drainage, which is some of the work in Queen Street, Palmerston has. So I guess it technically is a little bit more suited, and maybe Queen Street North could go under CWWF as a water and sewer project.
So the Harrison one under water and sewer project. And the Palmerston under this one.
Yeah,
that's an option.
Okay,
I'm good with
we
that.
have about 10 years of projects.
Yeah, no, I mean
think.
they're so close. That's what I'm saying. Like we want to do what we need to be done, right? Okay, somebody want to make a motion on one of those?
I'd make a motion on the Palmerston. South.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
All in favor of that one? There we go.
Okay.
Spend the money.
We'll go for it.
It's all your fault.
If you can get it down to the.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to get it down to that.
Gotta get it down
number.
to that 1330.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you will. All right, I think that's it then. Where are we?
On the main, well, you can go to your public meetings.
Yeah, I think we're on public meetings, aren't we? Oh, sorry.
Oh, you want to do other business disclosure? Or you?
Oh, yeah, we could do that.
It is after 5.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Who had? I think I did mine already. Was about the fair. Go ahead, Ron.
Mine's really quick, and I just got back from a trip, covered 10 states. across the northern United States. And
Did you go to Harrison,
I
North
didn't.
Dakota?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good.
And
Or Minto, I mean.
Minto. And actually, the township is Harrison.
Yeah. Is it? Oh, yeah. There.
And
City of Minto and Township of Harrison.
I will tell you that there was no better place to be than
Or Minto. You
and
should
town
say.
of Minto. I tell you, we can be really proud of our community.
Deputy Mayor and Judy, you jump.
Yeah, I participated in the Pedal for Patrick
Yes, that was excellent.
fundraiser, and it was good to see some staff there as well. And just wanted to thank staff and council for their support for that. Patrick is doing well, but the next stage of chemotherapy is going to be quite a challenge for him, I guess. So, yeah, so keep that little guy in your thoughts and prayers. There's been a ton of stuff going on. Just wanted to highlight the Wellington Farm and Home Safety Association. Minto has not had somebody on that
You are now.
committee, and I'm there now.
Thanks,
It's very
Judy.
much a working board committee. It's not a governance thing. So they do safety days throughout Wellington County. So there's one coming up in Wallenstein. I think it's October 14th, but I might not have that date right. But so October 14th, and then they will have one like Mount Forest. They always have one, so they move around the county sort of thing, and they put a lot of work into it for sure. I just have everything here except for the date. It's at ESM, which is beside the Wallenstein feed mill.
Right.
So, anyways, I'm sure other people will come up with the other stuff.
And just on the Patrick one, it was quite interesting. I didn't get down to do the walk because we were committed to somewhere else. But the number of people from out of town that were there.
Yeah.
I mean, the MAFRA people that had worked with
Lynn, yeah.
Lynn, and there's lots of people there. And the comments and along your line, Deputy Mayor Faulkner, the comments about how small towns and how they get together and how they do things, and what a great event this was, and the support that the town gave. So.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, I meant to say one of the folks from Amafra, I believe it was a spouse from someone who worked with Lynn, but anyways, he was asking questions about where the flooding was, and as he was biking around the town, he just commented on how much pride of ownership there is in Minto, and how everything is just, he just thought it was a great little spot, and so he was very really impressed. And yeah, there were people from Goderich and Guelph and everywhere in between.
I was kind of telling them if they would have been standing right where they are now, they'd be
That's what I told
feet
them.
of water.
That's what I told them.
Up to his neck.
That's
the
what I
running would have been difficult.
Yeah, that's what I told them. You wouldn't be biking.
Yeah, good. Ron, did you have some?
Yeah, just quick. I think I've mentioned it every year for last 7.
Oh, okay.
Our council payroll slips. Still got 2 again today, and I still don't understand it. I was hoping that we'd have some kind of software that would say, we've attended so many meetings, taken a third off, and I could just look at it and see, but I don't understand how we get overtime, we don't get overtime. Yep. None of it makes sense to me.
Did they pay them what you're supposed to get?
Whether you're supposed to get.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I don't understand the concept or how you could.
Well, I think that's something you want to take up with Bill, and you can maybe go do a course on it or something. I've asked. It's a little difficult, and a little bit of it is a bunch of things. I mean, Gord, do you want to start on this, or do we want to do it right here, or do you want to do that somewhere another time? I mean, I don't think that's something we want to do
someone
today.
Bring forward maybe that you could look into a software that was just.
Yeah.
And I never got a paycheck. It said, I got this much money, and this is what I got deducted.
It's because of the difference in taxable income versus non-taxable.
Easy to do, though.
Oh, not that easy. But anyways, let's not get into it tonight.
Just sometime meet with Lori and
she's explained it to me, and I understood it when she explained it. Now, if you asked me to explain it to you now, I couldn't understand it now.
Explained to me 7 times. I must be
well then.
I can't.
Well, we'll try again.
That much I can.
Yeah, it's when it says you're getting overtime, you're not getting overtime. I can tell you that's no overtime.
It's just
I think
You're on 24/7. Remember that.
Okay, could I have something committed that we could bring this forward somewhere else?
Well, do you want to bring it into, like, do you want the, like, are you worried the public doesn't know how you get
No,
paid?
I'm
or
worried
what?
about myself.
Well, then you just talk to him. We'll try to explain it. Make sure we get it.
And
to you.
I honestly can't understand it. I don't know.
Well, how many slips do we get there's just us, right? Every 2 weeks. And how much resources do you want to spend on it?
I don't understand why you can't get a slip that shows you get a paycheck. You've attended this many meetings times this much
Well,
money.
you do your expenses.
And this is 1/3 off. You don't. Doesn't show that way.
Unless we keep a copy of it.
Yeah, to keep a copy of, well, if you submit. Anyways, let's talk about that. I want to get these things going here. I don't want to talk about it today.
Okay, so I get to do this again another time?
Well, or we can talk about it and hopefully satisfy your concerns.
Won't satisfy today, obviously. I would like some kind of research done on it. Sometimes I believe there's software out there that's more appropriate than what we're getting.
Oh, guess we can look into that.
maybe Lori could just, maybe it's as simple as Lori just doing a report or somebody doing a report that kind of says this is this and this is this, because I think it's just because we're part-time and it's different and we're using the payroll system for
We don't fit in.
people who don't fit. Yeah.
We don't fit into the
Yeah.
normal payroll system.
Yeah, I
and
think
we
that's-
get.
The reason we don't is because the tax.
So all councils get paid the same way and they show the same things. So that's what we're saying.
Well, that depends what program they use, I'm sure.
Okay.
But
I'm thinking that
would
wrong, but-
satisfy me if I could
but-
see another
but-
slip.
But I will check into that.
Or they paid.
Mike, well, you were in the county before. The county slip's almost as difficult to see.
I found it very simple.
Well, they don't do it. Well, of course, they're paying. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. It's a bad example because county just pays a salary. If you got paid a salary, it'd be pretty simple. You can get into that ball game if you want, because they're
That's
straight
not what
salary.
He's just asking to explain.
Explanation.
Explanation.
All right, I will get
The
it.
answer is for Lori if she wouldn't mind.
Yeah. I don't think that's an unfair question.
I don't think so either.
No,
yeah,
I don't
Lori
think-
has to understand.
I think
it,
you could
so
ask that without asking it here. That's all. But that's fine.
shouldn't be hard.
That's
for her
what
to
I'm saying.
What do we need to get moving here?
Yeah, let's get moving.
Okay, can we move on? We'll get that figured out.
Certainly.
Okay. Is this the first one, Bill? I can't. My machine is not working.
Will.
David will.
Yep, got it. Okay.
thought
Okay,
somebody
we're having a. Oh,
do it already.
do we have to go out? No, we just go right in this.
Where are we?
You're good. You're still in.
Okay.
All right. Committee of the
Okay, we have 3 public meetings today, so we want to get on that. And the first one's for official plan amendment zoning bylaw amendment 21706. The applicant is David Will, 245 James Street, Palmerston. Tuesday, September 5th, 2017 at 5 p.m. in the council chamber. A public meeting is to consider an amendment to the County of Wellington official plan in the town of Minto zoning bylaw number 0186 for a property located on part lots 6 and 7 west side of James Street, lot 7 east side Henry Street, Morrison Survey. Part lot 19, concession 11, Palmerston, with a municipal address at 245 James Street, Palmerston. I will act as the chair of the public meeting. I will call the meeting to order and request any member of the public present to please sign the attendance record book, I believe. At that. And I will state the following. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions to a public meeting or make written submissions to the County of Wellington before the bylaw adopting the official plan is passed, the persons or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the County of Wellington to the Ontario Municipal Board, and the persons or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the board unless, in the opinion of the board, there's a reasonable grounds to do so. If a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the town of Minto before a zoning bylaw amendment is passed, the persons or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the town of Minto, the Ontario Municipal Board, and the persons or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the board unless, in the opinion of the board, there is a reasonable grounds to do so. I'll ask CAO Clerk White to state the municipal address and legal description of the property and the purpose and effect of the application, the date notice was sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The property subject to the proposed official plan and zoning amendment is located on part lot 6 and 7 west of James Street, lot 7 east of Henry Street, Morrison Survey, part lot 19, concession 11, Palmerston, and has an address of 245 James Street, Palmerston. Purpose of the application is to redesignate a portion of the property from recreational to residential in the county official plan, and to rezone a portion of the land from open space to residential 2 to allow for construction of a single detached home. The amendment will fulfill conditions of consent application B70/16 to create a residential lot. Notice was mailed to property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the lands and applicable agencies and posted on the property July 25th. Comments were received from the town of Minto staff. Building inspector's report is attached. Linda Redmond, senior planner, I think she's the director of planning, County of Wellington, report attached. And the Maitland Valley Conservation Authority email August 23rd, noting the land is not affected by MVCA regulations, natural hazard or natural heritage features, so no formal comment will be submitted, but the property is within a wellhead protection area.
Okay, so we have, sorry, just trying to get my thing back up here.
So you're to call on the applicant or agent?
Can I have the applicant or agent? No, would you please come up? Do you have any comments?
Not really.
Okay.
I've done all the applications and.
Yep. And now maybe if you have.
Approved,
Yep. Are there any questions for the applicant? I didn't have any. Oh.
I've got one
go ahead.
question. Was it serviced? Was that lot serviced?
Yeah, it was serviced.
It is.
Okay. Good. Oh, that's great.
County.
Yeah, that's good.
When James Street was
Yep.
done.
Yeah.
It was done at that time.
Perfect.
Great. Okay.
I might have one question.
Okay. Do you want?
What's the cross street? The next cross street.
Cross.
That's
Street,
between James and.
Main Street, Bell Street.
Is it
Or
Bell
the other-
Street?
or the
Okay.
other. Yeah.
I'm just.
He's lost.
Yeah, no worries.
He's born and raised in.
Yeah, born and raised there, but
On Wallace.
still lost.
Yeah.
No, Maryborough.
Yeah. Good. Curtis, did you have any comments you wanted to make on it? Sorry, I should have had you up there first. We got Linda here, so Linda wasn't here,
No,
and then we forgot you were here. Thanks, Curtis, for
good
coming.
evening. Yeah, I really don't have anything more to add. I think if you have
Good
any
report.
questions, I'd be happy to answer for you.
I don't have any for Curtis.
Great.
Good. Thanks, Curtis. Anyone wishing to oppose the amendment? Oh. And you guys have all asked your questions, so I will state, if you wish to be notified of the decision of the County of Wellington in respect to the proposed official plan amendment application, you must make a written request to the Director, Planning Development Department, County of Wellington, 74 Woolwich Street, Guelph, Ontario, N1H3T9 510 837 2600, extension 2080. If you wish to be notified of the decision of the Council of the Town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning amendment application, you must make a written request to the clerk of the Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, NOG 1ZO, or by email bwhite at townofminto.on.ca. If there are no further comments, I will adjourn this public meeting. Good. Thank you. Next, we have a public meeting is to consider the amendment of the Town of Minto zoning bylaw number 0186 for property located on Lot 21, Concession 5, a municipal address of 9042 Wellington Road 5, Town of Minto. I'll act as chair of the public meeting. I will call the meeting to order and request any member of the public present to sign the attendance record. State the following: a person or public body does not make oral submissions at a public meeting or make written submissions to the Town of Minto before the bylaw is passed. The persons or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Town of Minto to the Ontario Municipal Board, and the persons or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the board unless, in the opinion of the board, there's reasonable grounds to do so. I'll ask CEO White to state the municipal address and legal description of the property, purposes and effect of the application, the date notice was sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The property subject to the proposed amendment is located at Lot 21, Concession 5, with a municipal address of 9042 Wellington Road 5. Purpose and effect of the amendment is to rezone the property to prohibit any future residential development on the agricultural retained portion of the property and recognize a reduced minimum lot area for the residential severed portion. Its rezoning is a condition of severance application B40/17 that has been granted provisional consent by Wellington County Land Division. The consent will sever the existing dwelling from the agricultural parcel. Notice was mailed to property owners within 120 meters, 400 feet of the lands, and applicable agencies and posted on the property August 9th. Comments were received from the town of Minto staff. The building assistance report is included in your package, and Curtis Marshall, Senior Planner, County of Wellington, and his report's attached, and he is here tonight.
Did you want to say anything, Terry? Or?
No, sorry, I don't really have anything more to add besides what's in the reports.
Yep, good, thank you, Curtis. And by the way, welcome, Curtis. This is this your first time here officially?
Yes, I guess that. Yes.
Yeah, and Curtis is on board now, filling Linda's role.
Yeah, I'm the new Linda. So yeah, I was here a couple months ago, but just more of a
visit.
Witness. Yes.
Yeah,
a visit.
I remember that. Yeah. Very good.
Face to face.
So thank you. But again, I don't have anything further to add. Just noting that the minimum lot size was. It was proposed in that fashion to avoid fragmenting any of the agricultural field.
We went through land division.
Okay.
Any questions? Does the applicant want to say anything? Is the applicant here? No. Then does anybody wish to oppose? No. Okay. I'll state that if you wish to be notified of a decision of the Council of the Town of Minto in respect to proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the clerk of the Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison OG 10, or email at bwhite@townofminto.on.ca. If there are no further comments, I will adjourn the public meeting. Very good. And one last one. Applicant, Town of Minto, and I hope I get this right. Is it Karinsky Enterprises Limited? Okay, I didn't get that right, but we'll. Public meeting is to consider the amendment to the Town of Minto zoning bylaw number 0186 for the property located at Part Lot 24, Concession 1, Parts 1 and 2 and 3 and 6 of the RP 61R 11-700, Parts 4 and Part 5, and RP 61R 9419, Parts 2 and 6, the civic address of 200 Minto Road, Palmerston. I'll act as chair of the public meeting, call the meeting to order, and request any member of the public present please sign the attendance record. And I'll state the following. A person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Town of Minto before the bylaw is passed. The persons or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of the Town of Minto, the Ontario Municipal Board, and the persons or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of the appeal before the board unless, in the opinion of the board, there's reasonable counsel to do so. I'll ask Clerk White to state the municipal address and legal description of the property and purpose and effect of the application date notice were sent.
Thank you, Mayor Bridge. The legal description is as eloquently read by yourself. Property is located at 200 Minto Road in Palmerston. Purpose of the proposed amendment is to rezone the subject lands and expand the site-specific provisions of the M130H zone to permit the cultivation of cannabis within a greenhouse as part of a medical cannabis production facility. Other zoning relief may be considered for the proposal where appropriate. Notice was mailed to property owners within 400 feet or 120 meters of the subject property and applicable agencies and posted on the lands August 16th. Comments were received from the Town of Minto staff. The building assistant, it's actually the building inspector's report is attached. Curtis Marshall, Senior Planner, County of Wellington report also attached, and he is here tonight. A letter of concern from Dale Hurlbut, that letter is attached. And Mr. Kaczynski also has a presentation which he provided to us as in for your information package as well.
Terry?
I really don't have anything to add in addition to the reports. Maybe we should wait till we hear the public or the presentation, and then if there's any questions for me, I can try to answer those.
You want to do the presentation first, or we're going to go through the whole presentation, or not?
If I may, Mayor Bridge, it's entirely up to Mr. Krasinski.
Yeah.
But I sure would like to hear it because I think it's very interesting.
I think it would be good from the standpoint that the public, then this is we're taped and going on television later, and so it'd be nice for them to see what the proposal is very, very professionally done, I must say. Slide. So you can take us through us on a fairly reasonable time frame.
I'll do my best.
Okay.
But,
thanks.
You could write books about it. But,
I know you could.
We'll do what we can. So, Council, thank you for seeing me. Mayor Bridge, thank you. And to all the administrators. Thank you very much for all your help and for the assistance. So, as you all know, we have applied to rezone the property for cannabis manufacturing. What I'm going to do is quickly just go through general information about the industry and then our proposed facility, and then address any of your questions, which I hope will be addressed by the presentation anyways. From the legal point of view, medicinal use of cannabis has been sanctioned since 1999. That was through a court decision that passed to allow an individual to use cannabis for a medical purpose. That was further put into law in the year 2000 through the marijuana medical access regulations, where individuals were able to grow their own medicine. Over time, there was more and more court decisions, and ultimately what happened was the courts forced the federal government to give patients access to cannabis as a medicine for their use. And with that, the federal government had to put into place a legal framework to allow for that access. So this was the MMPR, and now everything has been put together into the access to cannabis regulations, so for medical purposes. And this is where we are today. With that in mind, perhaps I could give you a brief background why I'm in this, why I'm here, and why I'm in this business. I've never had anything to do with cannabis other than in my university years. Until about 2012 or so, when I found out about my mother-in-law, who unfortunately had colon cancer. Luckily enough, it was an early stage issue, and as every family does when they hear the news, you hit the internet and you hit books and you ask friends to see what we can do about this. So I stumbled along cannabis. It started to be a topic that was coming up more and more. And I did suggest to her maybe we should look into this as a possible substance that could assist her in her recovery or with side effects of her treatments. She refused, and we did not go forward with it. It's not something that she's comfortable with. Then the topic came up of the MMPR being put into place in 2013. So with all the research that I kind of put together, and I did see the benefits of it, and I thought that folks should have access to cannabis as an alternative. It's not a medicine for everything, but it does assist some folks. So why shouldn't they have access to it? And with that in mind, I did put my application in to become a licensed producer in 2013. I believe at the end of August. To be a licensed distributor. Within a year or so, we found out that my father got sick with esophageal cancer, which is a pretty bad disease. There is very little hope once it's in the stage that we found he was in stage 3. Again, same thing. What could we do for him? So he's a old school person, so we wanted to go traditional chemo, the radiation, and surgery, which was great. Chemo is not something we'd like to go with because it does destroy the white body, the cells, and sometimes does more damage than good. But at that point, there wasn't other alternatives.
So we went with that. Did okay for about 6 months, but the cancer did spread afterwards to his liver, and then that was it. I said, we got to do something here. I'm in the cannabis application. I mean, you've seen all the evidence. He's my counselor. We're like the best friend. So that we have to look at this one. Take it serious. So we agreed. And sorry, it's a personal thing, and I guess I almost lost my dad. So long story short, the first treatment was okay. He got rid of the cancer. We did supplement it a bit with cannabis oil. He said, okay, great. I'm cured now. Cancer came back. He said, okay, I'm going all traditional again. And I don't want to hear about anything else because I trust the doctors. Okay, fine. We'll do your decision at the end of the day. And this last winter, things started going really bad. Started losing weight. Cancers are growing. We got him on therapy, immunotherapy, the experimental ones. That didn't help, and the cancer spread further. So, okay, Dad, well, we got to go cannabis. We got prescriptions. We got oil, concentrated cannabis oil, with a high THC count, about 10% CBD. And he had his scan 3 months later, and the cancer shrunk by 50%. Whether or not that could be attributed to his constitution, he's a tough guy, that fought the disease off, alongside with the chemo that he was still receiving, or it was the cannabis did contribute to it. That can be up for debate. We don't have any empirical data to support that, but that was the only thing that would change. So he's doing well now. Waited back up. He's looking much better. We're going to see his next scans in the next 2 weeks. But from the way I see him, he's a totally different person than he was in January. So from that's basically the history of my personal life in cannabis, and why I strongly believe that there is medicinal benefit. These are some of the other medical conditions that people now use medical cannabis for. Just a bit brief history about our company here. We started living together in 2003, but I finished doing philosophy and history at the university. So not doing any jobs other than being a teacher after that, and I don't have the patience. So we started a trade business. So what we did was buy low, sell high, all sorts of goods from industrial water filters to the City of London to toilet paper to Walmart. It's a basic trade company. And now we're heading into the cannabis business after 4 years of applications with Health Canada. There was a regime change, so we can attribute that to that. But we're well on our way. We submitted our revised paperwork based on this proposed location in August. Health Canada has acknowledged the receipt of the information, and we have to submit to them now a formal letter that rezoning has been reached. So the next step was to proceed with licensing. Proposed activities are the cultivation and processing of cannabis at that location. Processing will be done in a
head house in an industrial type building, cultivation and greenhouse facilities. So the facility, currently, our plans show for a 60 by 90 building where we'll have our offices and for processing areas, including a vault level, a high security level. I'm not going to, I'm kind of restricted to say which particular level we're at, but we're at the highest end of the scale. I think it's, personally, I think it's overkill, but better safe than sorry. The value of cannabis isn't what it used to be, and it's dropping. So, but you know, rules are rules, and I'd like to maintain as high a security level in our facility as possible. So here's the proposed plan that we have for the facility. That little corridor is to maintain security, integrity, and environment. It is a controlled environment. These are all purpose-built for this particular use. So I'm assuming there is some concerns from the public that may have been voiced about security. So again, from the vaults to genetic markers on the cannabis, we'll be taking note of them. If there's any diversion, to a large extent, we can track that in one way or another. Access control, double access control for the vaults. You name it, we got I believe up to 40 cameras just in that building. 360-degree cameras, also single view cameras recording everything, and recordings are kept for 2 years. They can be accessed by telephone or authorities that look at. Greenhouses, odor mitigation. We're legislated to have odor mitigation, so it doesn't affect the community. They're fully enclosed greenhouses, so we're not venting anything outside. Everything's going through filters. It's to maintain the integrity of the growing environment. Also, light pollution is something that we're not required to adhere to, but it is a concern for the community. And our facility will have a blackout system. It's also used for on the light side. So during the night, to mitigate light pollution, we'll have the blackout system engaged. So those are, I guess, the 3 main concerns. We're not selling retail from the location. It's all mail order. Every employee is vetted. We will ask for a police background check ourselves. Management has been vetted by the RCMP. So I suppose the laws that are there are for a purpose, and to make sure that facilities such as ours don't have adverse effects on the community that they exist in. And we're trying our best to not only but exceed them. So with that in mind, I suppose it's. I hope that the council and the administrators move forward with the changing of the zoning to permit us the use. We'll be bringing marginal employment at the beginning. We're forecasting an 8 people staff as we start rolling the operation out. But to give you perspective, some of the larger operators that have been in the business for a few years employ between 120 to and maybe even more now to the smaller ones about 50. So there is some employment impact on the community. You guys are not getting rid of, but
utilizing the land that you've invested in. You're getting a company and folk that care about where they live. We will be moving here. I have a family. I'm a proud father of 4 little girls.
Wow.
So I wouldn't be bringing a business to a place where I'd like to raise my kids. A business that would, in some way either endanger them or have an adverse effect on them. Of course, it's a business. We have to make a living, but there are those considerations that I've thought about and I believe that we've addressed all of the questions. I mean, in terms of security, if you're thinking about some sort of robberies or things of that nature, there's nothing like that out there right now. The only ones that you hear about in the news that are called legal grow-ups are folks that have prescriptions that are growing for themselves. And those people are vulnerable to some sort of perhaps violent attack or some sort of robbery. But facilities such as ours, with security comparable and equal, perhaps even more than Pfizer or those type of facilities, nobody's going to touch them. I mean, there's too little to gain from the trouble that will come down. So, we're no longer selling that 4,000 a pound product. We're down to a wholesale price of about 1,200. Not really worth anybody's money, other than folks like me who are trying to make a living, I suppose, and keep well.
Sweet. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Krasinski. I'm fully behind this. I think it's great. I think it's a nice looking building. It's going to look beautiful in our industrial park, and I like the thought of 8 jobs to start and many more to come. Couple of questions though. When you talk about security, two things. How's the front gate work, and what's your finished product look like? Is it like, I mean, once the gate opens, it comes out? I mean, I think I'd be more concerned about it being trucked away, and maybe I'm ignorant to the fact that how that's going to work. But from your building, where does it go to?
So there's 2 possible destinations. There are other licensed producers that you may sell our product to, or end patients. And the end patients is a mail order system. So what happens is these folks sign up with us based on a medical document supplied to us. We verify the medical document with their healthcare provider. Everything checks out. Then we sign on as a patient with us, and then they can order product freely through the internet or by phone. We package the product and ship it out by Canada. Now, when you're thinking about shipments, we're also limited to how much we can sell. So we can't package more than 30 grams per container. So in essence, and I think what you're talking about is divergent post production. So once it leaves our facility, again, the amounts being shipped any day are marginal. So we're not talking 30, 40 kilos or any of that. I mean, we're producing that on a semi-annual basis. So the amounts of product don't warrant any sort of diversion, and again, not with serious criminal time. The gate is there to, and the way it will work is all our staff, so our receptionist will, so she'll open the gate and she'll also control the access to the actual building. So the access to the building is only done through the front. It's the only way to get in, other than the fire exit.
and you have to budget yourself in unless you're on an appointment list, and unless you are a
The town council
Town-
wanting to go on a tour.
town employee that we know has business with us for the authority, you're not getting. You're being turned away, and if you don't want to leave, the authority is called and get business going. So that's the purpose of the gate, is just to control access to the facility. The front part that you see there, so the glass area is the offices, which access is controlled again through an access control system. This is the lower level access control, so for regular employees that have nothing to do with cannabis. Subsequently, on the inside, which I suppose I can show you privately, but not in public, is controlled through another extra set of security measures. So this is the second area of control, and the third one is the vault. So there's another level of security just to get into the vault.
You're not getting in, David.
I mean, you can try, but by the time you get to, say, the second level, we're having a SWAT team come to see where
Yes, thank you, Mr. Grzinski, and I too am a big fan of this process. And my question is, do you take it one step further in the processing past drying?
No, currently we have not applied for
Oil?
For an oil license.
Okay.
Once we're in business, it's something that we may consider. It's just the investment in proper equipment does not warrant that in our business plan. We can acquire wholesale oil if our patients need.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So that's not a problem. So we can have a third party produce it for us, and if there's somebody that needs it, and it's our client, we can source it for them, but we will not be producing it.
Okay, thank you.
Questions?
I just wondered if you see your business changing any once it's legalized.
There's only a certain capacity of production that we have. Obviously, we'd like to maximize the land that we have there. We can reach, I think, realistically about 50,000 square feet of groceries. If we can keep growing on that particular parcel, it'll be impossible. That's why we asked to have the other parcel be reserved under, reserved. We asked for a right of first refusal for further expansion. The business model itself will not change. Access to cannabis will still be regulated. The only difference that is happening is that it will no longer be a criminal offense to possess a small amount, personal amount of cannabis, and it'll be more readily accessed through the provincially regulated outlets. So, from a business point of view, there will be more demand for us, perhaps. However, we also have to look at more competition from the market. I mean, we're at about 40, 50, 58 licensed producers. So, at the same time, international demand is really set. So, there's opportunity for us there as well. In essence, nothing really changes other than the scale of business. Security is maintained equally the same. Light, odor, any other concerns are handled exactly the same way, but scale. So that's
Else? Thanks very much for the presentation, and I'm hoping that you can get started as soon as possible. I know you still have a few more things to get over, one hurdle or whatever too. But it's a process, and I know that. And where we can help, by all means, try to help you where we can.
We appreciate your time. Thank you for your attention. Your questions, anything else? Let me know.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sorry, Judy.
Sorry, I just had a question.
Oh, well, you didn't put your hand
Well,
up before.
well, it wasn't a question for
Oh,
Mr. Krasinski.
okay.
It was a
Yeah.
question. It was a point of order sort of thing. I did not get a letter from Dale Herbutton. I just wondered if there was anybody else who did not.
I think I did see the letter. Did I not see the letter? No, maybe I didn't see it on this one.
Anyways, I just heard it as a comment, and I was just curious what that letter maybe said. If we could have that read to us.
Oh,
why didn't I see?
A
I
while
thought I
ago.
saw that a while ago, but
Didn't we
maybe-
get that about 3 meetings ago? Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe.
That, I
Pretty
think
sure we
I
got it.
If I may, he wrote a letter about signage,
Yes.
and I am sorry you did
okay.
not get the.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was.
You have it here?
I thought it was included in our package, so I was.
Michelle,
Um,
can you tell us what it was about?
basically, he was concerned about the crime surrounding it. Basically, I think more than answered by.
Okay, so that was actually beforehand.
But I think there was another one beforehand that we actually got. It was more. Can we get a copy?
We'll get a copy for you. I think that should be part of the record here.
Yes, it should be.
Sorry, it was not attached.
That's okay.
I remember seeing it though.
I do too.
I may have been.
When did that letter come, COA?
It looked a lot like the other letter that you got. So
Yeah, we did get one letter.
Yeah, we sure did.
So there was
That's
another
why I
letter
remember
after that. Okay.
So it was
So
the
Michelle-
second letter.
And Michelle will
Do we need to move
provide
on?
a copy.
Are we good enough to move on?
Maybe if you could. I don't have it in here.
Okay.
If you could finish up with the
Yeah.
other statements.
Yeah.
We'll
Okay.
read it in the record.
We'll read into the record when we get it. Okay. Where am I here? Okay, and then I guess Curtis, did you have anything to speak to on this? I saw your comments. Or
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've provided comments, and again, this common theme. I don't have anything further to add unless you have a question tonight. So yeah, I think the applicant
We're gonna make things
covered
tougher
up.
for you.
Yes,
Like
if you'd like, I could go on. Planners like to talk, as you're probably
no, I know,
aware,
I
so-
know, but that's fine.
Yeah.
No. Good. I don't think we have any questions because hold on. Okay.
Mark was always going on.
Ex-planners are worse.
I don't think there's anybody else from the public. Does anybody want to speak to the public? I don't see any. I've heard mostly positive.
Somebody from the public.
Have you got that
That would
letter?
be good.
So that's the one Michelle's getting?
You've heard from Dale.
Okay. Yeah.
His letter states, Dear Sir, Madam, it is my understanding that a medical marijuana plant is planned for the town of Minto. It probably is already planned and is underway. I'm writing to protest that plan. I have worked with those addicted to regular marijuana, and I feel this is not in the best interest of the community. It may generate income, yet the long-term problems will cost more. Has there been cost considered with the security of such plant? Thanks for reading my letter, and I request a written reply. Yours truly, Dale Herblet.
So I thought I've heard that one. I've heard that one.
I have
Maybe so, and maybe it was in the package some other way. But anyway, we'll give council a copy. I think that those questions were more than answered.
Oh, yeah.
And he would receive a copy of the notice of decision if council does, in fact, decide to pass the bylaw. And that would be his written response. And my apologies for not having that on
No,
here.
but I've heard that letter. Oh, I do too. Actually, okay.
And there's Michelle, and maybe Terry could introduce Michelle.
Yeah, that would be good.
Who is this girl?
We're paying more staff. We got Curtis. We got new people.
Sorry, this is Michelle Brown. She's the new building department admin assistant, so she's helping me out try to stay afloat while Stacy is off on her mat leave.
Welcome, Michelle. And
yeah, sure.
Yep.
Yep. So I will call the agent. Okay. Anyone wish to comment? Blah blah blah. I'll state that if you wish to be notified of the decision of the Council of the Town of Minto in respect to the proposed zoning bylaw amendment application, you must make a written request to the clerk or Town of Minto at 5941 Highway 89, Harrison, NOG 170, or email at bwhite@townofminto, Ontario.ca. If there's no further comments, I will adjourn the public meeting. You all have that letter now that we've already been read into the record. So, okay. Thank you very much. Now, where are we, Bill?
Now we're into bylaws. I think.
Right. Well, we have to do this first one.
Yes. Then you're into bylaws.
Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner. The Committee of the Whole convenes the regular council meeting. All in favor? Yep. Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Turton, that the Council of the Town of Minto ratifies the motions made in the Committee of the Whole. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Caldwell, second by Councillor Dirksen, the bylaw number 2017-68 to amend the zoning bylaw number 0186 for the Town of Minto, 200 Minto Road, Palmerston, introduced, read, first, second, and third time, and passed over the Council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Great. Moved by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, second by Councillor Elliott, the bylaw number 2017-69 to amend the zoning bylaw number 0186 for the Town of Minto, 9042 Wellington Road 5, be introduced, read, first, second, and third time, and passed over the Council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Turton, second by Councillor Caldwell, the bylaw number 2017-70 for the purpose of amending bylaw 2017-25 to a bylaw to regulate the collection and treatment of sanitary sewage and stormwater in the Town of Minto be introduced and read first, second, and third time, and passed over the Council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Dirksen, second by Deputy Mayor Faulkner, bylaw number 2017-71 to authorize the mayor and the CEO clerk to execute a connecting links contribution program agreement regarding the reconstruction of a Lower Street Clifford be introduced, read first, second, and third time, passed over the Council, seal of the corporation. All in favor? Moved by Councillor Elliott, second by Councillor Turton, the bylaw number 2017-72 to confirm the actions of the Council and the Corporation of the Town of Minto respecting a meeting held September 5th, 2017 be introduced, read first, second, and third time, and passed over the Council, seal the corporation. All in favor? And moved by Councillor Caldwell, second by Councillor Dirksen, that the Council of the Town of Minto adjourn to meet again at the call of the mayor. All in favor? Good meeting, everybody. Thanks very much.